Right, I think that we are now starting, guys. Think we're starting. Sarah P, always first one in, Sarah P. Hopefully, Sarah, you're not as grumpy as yesterday. Hopefully, you're in a good mood today, as always. I'm joking. I love you. So yeah, please, everyone, as you're coming in, because I get a lot of people that watch the replay. I don't know why. I get more people watching replay than actually the live. So for those watching the replay, please hit that like button, subscribe, obviously, to YouTube, and hit that notification bell. So today, especially replay crew, if you guys have not, because I'm everyone that watches the live stream normally, I imagine that you've all subscribed to the guy I'm about to introduce. But the replay crew, I 100% know there's a lot of you that will not have subscribed to Baker. So your mission is to subscribe to Baker. I've pinned it. It'll be in the description box. So the myth, the man, the legend. If you thought my accent was bad, I'm put myself up against someone else here, right? Me and Baker, second language English. Here we are, Baker. Hang on, you're on. Oh, damn it! I need to go on to another one now. Here we go. Welcome, Baker.
Thank you so much, and yeah, my accent is really bad.
It's
It's
not.
kind of,
It's not. Mine is worse.
but you kind of understand yours because you hear it on television and stuff like that. People don't really hear Danish accents. You only hear Mads Mikkelsen and people like that, and he tries to speak American.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
understand you. I understand you perfectly. So
yeah, and I know a lot of people are just out there pulling a leg. So it's okay. We all have different accents, and have you ever listened to an American? It's just yeah, we love them, but
yes, I love the women. Love the American women. Um,
yeah, it's
some of them.
but
We got here. Oh, it's a lot. There's people here. We got Sarah P. Obviously, Young is here.
good morning,
Sarah
John.
P is here. Sarah P. Loyal as they come. Sarah P is. Iris. Morning. Love the broken baker. Followed him here. Thank you, Josie. Loyalty there. You see Baker.
Yeah,
Cake
sweetest.
from Young. Baker is cute. Bloody hell, Baker. You taking all mine. Look at
Yeah, but
you. I don't get
it's
any
it, it's
attention.
it's kind of a standing joke on me and Dave and Nick's channel because yeah, it's a long backstory, but there's some
Fine.
like the one you see from Jamie is Baker Live. It's a long backstory.
It's all good. It's all good. You put yourself up against Baker,
We color
did you?
coordinated and everything for you ladies.
Yes. Oh, we didn't organize it. It happened. We knew. We're in sync. So, C Sweat, welcome. C Sweat, she's got a dirty mouth on her, so we'll watch that. I'm not putting her stuff up here. I'm trying not to swear, Baker. I'm trying not to swear. Um, so I had a 2 hour limit not to swear, right? By Sarah. I've done that well every stream. Now I'm trying to do a stream without swearing too much. Because I can be monetized.
I uh, I kind of try to stick to it because if you get into it while you're not monetized, you'll slip up when you're monetized. So, but I had
Yeah,
one yesterday. I was really close to use some choice words because I'm apparently a racist because I talked in a southern accent.
yeah,
So
that's just stupid.
yeah,
There's some ignorant people out there, though. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. But you know
So
how
I
it
just
is.
give everyone a
Everyone
try.
knows how to run your channel better than you do.
I've got, I'm not sure how many mods I got. I got 7 mods who honestly they know how to run it better than me, even. So I got them on my case all the time. Let alone having people calling me a racist and stuff like that. I just ban them. 7 women, Jesus. I'm not sure if you have the same problem, Baker, but oh my god, I just be married to 7 women.
Yeah, I have a lot of nice ladies who's always really helpful, and I don't dare say anything else.
Oh,
But
I
they're
tell
all
them straight because
yeah, I like because they send me links to cases they find interesting. I look at them, and most of the time they find some really. We had a really great hearing yesterday. I just totally broke down because we
I heard.
it was
I
just
saw a
such an
video,
amazing.
Baker.
It was
I
so
saw a
amazing.
video of it.
Yeah.
Uh, in sync. I like to sing a little bit, but not yet. Hello, you. We need to stream as well. I know I promised that we will stream one day. My love, we will stream one day. Um, but for now, you'll have to do it with Sal because he's in love. I think Sal's in love with every woman that he meets. I think. Um, he wasn't.
I'm beginning to wondering, is it a cover? Does he fancy something else and just some guys come over really, really into the ladies, and then all of a sudden they have a closet door standing open? I don't know. It's
Wow. I mean, he is the man that knows everything about penises, old Sally boy. So I like the fact we can have a laugh about Sal.
yeah,
We
he's
said
a
he's
nice
not good.
guy.
You see, this is what Josie. Can you teach my mods? Yeah, because my mods only send me abuse. I'm not even. They send me abuse every day. That's all I get from my mods. I get in grief. I get off my mods. I love my mods. I love my mods. Before
I,
they
I,
start.
I'm just saying that I love having them around. I believe it was John who you can't say tweeted because she xed me about if I was doing a stream, and really didn't do much last week, and after a day or two you kind of get well, I can just pop on and talk for an hour or something because it's your friends and you want to meet your friends, say hey to your friends, and they're always the nicest people.
No, 100%. I agree with you. I agree with you. What we do without them, I don't know. Irish la. It's a great accent. Yes, the
Yeah,
southern accent.
I just and it was great last week. 2 weeks ago, Iris was translating from Spanish into English, and yesterday she was translating from Southern and into English. So it's nice when people meet
Sounds
up
like.
and do stuff like that for you.
Well, if you think about it, you're from Denmark, I'm from Wales. All these people from different places, Canada, Australia, America. Where else do you get to meet all these people? Do you know what I mean? So it's lovely. I met Paige for the first time yesterday. Jamie, I've not seen Jamie for a while now. So the
She's
chat has
always
been
on
very
with me.
clean. She's always on with you.
Yeah,
So the chat's very clean when Jamie's not here. But whenever she is here, it tends to get a little bit dirty. So maybe that's helped me as well. Because I've got a habit, Baker. I'm not sure if you're the same. If there's something on the screen, I just say it. I don't. It doesn't process until after I've said it, and then I'm like, oh no, and then it's like too late by then. So, but sort of, I use Welsh words for, like I use cachu. Cachu is shit. So we now the chat know what cachu means. If I say cachu, they know. So I don't have to swear there, swear in Welsh, and they don't know. You need to do the same as well. You need to some
yeah, I can do
Danish
it.
word.
I can do it in Danish, but the F word is really big in Denmark. We use it in almost every sentence. So, uh, and again, it's the different mentalities that between the countries because, as we talked about earlier, we have kind of like the same humor in our countries. It's a kind of degrading, but in a loving way, kind of humor, and
Yeah,
a lot of irony. And
yeah,
some Americans really don't get that, and other people do. And I think the ones who do are the people who can understand our streams and stick around for them.
yeah. I agree. It's I've lost a lot of viewers over the past few months that people don't quite get the sense of humor, or people that think that because sometimes your doesn't translate. So when we speak, it doesn't sometimes translate, and people think, but it's like, no, I'm 100% joking every time. But some people don't get that, so
Uh,
which is
I was
unfortunate. But
watching a stream with the expert this morning. He was on with Shitty Wisnot, and and he said, and I don't notice it because I'm just speaking. We had a Lego building stream this Saturday, and it was fun. And he said, "Well, Baker has this kind of way where he sits totally stone faced and just twists the words around and says something insanely funny, but seems really, really into it or it really focused, so you don't get the joke. You have to think about it. And I don't. As I always say, when I say stupid things, it's because the translation is hard. I got grief because I said I like to go into cases raw, and going in raw is obviously
Yes,
I've been told something different in English, but
yes. So we could park that one.
yeah. So I'm trying not to say that as much.
Yeah, but I think it's fine. You're young as you check out the Broken Baker channel on MLS Discord for more videos of Baker McGiggles. So there are cut-offs of Sal in there. I know I've seen some, and Young sent me a couple. Just because time's a bit tight, Baker can't stay for all the stream, so he's coming here for about an hour. But we will do stuff. We'll do a stream moving forward, whether it's me going on his Saturday one, him coming on my Sunday one, whatever. We'll do some stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that, guys.
It and what people don't really and I understand it because I used to do the same before I started doing YouTube. I was just turning on my YouTube and then I watched the Johnny Depp case and I cleaned my house and I had stuff done, went to the shop, came back, and I thought this is the easiest job in the world. And suddenly you're sitting here for an hour prep before you go on, and when you're finished, you have to really come down. It takes about an hour. You might be streaming for 2-3 hours, so you really don't get stuff done. So, but I like to come on because I haven't really watched much because yesterday I had 2 streams, so I didn't really watch this. This is a retrial as well, and
Yes. So this is his retrial. So the Austin Ford is on trial, and he is accused of alleviating his best friend, who is the victim here. Yesterday, in my opinion, the only two useful people yesterday were the mother who was first up, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't like her, which is terrible to say. The victim's mother. I just felt she was lying a lot. So I lost a lot of compassion for her, even though I'm still compassionate because she lost her daughter. But I didn't think she did a good job, um, in my opinion. The rest were just like, witnesses that found the body and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then the only other one that I found really beneficial was a medical examiner. And ultimately, the medical examiner said, look, I can't say if it was a homicide or a suicide. It
mm,
could be either. So it's like, so now we've got to listen to all the testimony and make a judgment on it. I am on the fence with it because I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so testimony today I think is going to be quite crucial when we listen to it.
yeah. And as Jamie said, I saw that Nicholas is that the mom had changed the story from the first trial to this one, and I just saw a snippet on her when I was browsing around yesterday with you and Nicholas, and she seemed defensive, as very defensive,
Yeah, yeah,
and I would think that if your daughter had passed away, you would try to be as open about it. But again, for I do a lot of layman cases in Denmark and our jury system, and some people just have kind of a weird way to react in court. But I just thought you were really combative and really
yeah.
closed up. Not a body language expert, I don't believe in that, but she just seemed like she didn't want to be there.
No, and like Sarah P says it here about she didn't want to answer questions about her daughter's history. Like I said in the stream yesterday, if I was a parent, I would know
Right, we
everything
are back
about my
on the
daughter's
record
history,
in the state
and she
versus
didn't know
Austin
anything,
Tybee
um,
Ford,
which is a bit of a pain. Hang on, so I'm going to check
23B098-1-3.
if it's on One and
Today is
Alive.
Wednesday, August 9th,
Um,
2023.
Let me just
This
put the
is the
extension up here quickly.
continuation
Then
of the criminal jury trial.
It's a bit low in the
Present on
trial,
behalf of the state of Georgia
yeah, how's that?
of
are
course.
ADAs Norris
That's
Lewis and
better.
Jennifer Banks Brown.
Good.
Present for the
Um,
defense, Mr. Ford is
you
present in court, seated
see,
next to his counsel,
Iris.
Lawrence Lewis
See,
and
this is what I mean. All
Alan
these dirty
Stimson.
women, Baker,
Mrs. State ready?
Iris always on top.
Defense ready? All right, let's please bring in the
Ride them,
jurors.
cowgirl. This is exactly what I mean. Yes, I agree, Jamie. I agree. Hello, Heidi. Heidi's paramedic. Heidi, please go right to Baker. Yeah, and this is Baker, Broken Baker. It's guys, it's all attached to the top of this, the chat. You just click the link and it takes you to Baker's page. So Heidi's a paramedic, and she's lovely, but in a bitch way. You know what I mean? She says it as it is. So I
Yeah.
like to have Heidi on here a lot as well. So if she can,
All
she
right, good
comes on.
morning, everyone. Welcome back. We will continue
I,
with
I like
the
people who
cross-examination
say
by the
things as they are.
defense of
Great,
Dr.
and
Terry.
that's why I like
Mr.
Heidi
Lawrence,
and
the
Lady
witness is
Law.
with
That's
you.
why
She
I always
remains
have
under
them.
oath.
I love them.
Good morning, Dr. Terry.
Good morning.
Sorry I didn't get to you
Oh,
yesterday. I know you're busy.
oh, this is gonna be interesting.
Um,
So,
in
just so people know, just a background, this is a medical advisor, the medical doctor that has done the autopsy and stuff like that. This is Steve Harvey, who is crossing her now. So this is the first time he's had opportunity to cross. So this is going to be interesting, I think. This guy was asleep yesterday as well, which I loved. He just closed his eyes. I just yawned in. It was just like, this is brilliant. But I will say the two attorneys are fantastic so far. So as long as they use the microphones, I did email the court yesterday asking the attorneys to speak into the mics. So we'll see if that works. So here we go. That's the
Yeah.
background of it.
1990, if I understood your testimony, 1990, you began a 5-year program in pathology. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So by my calculations, you've been doing autopsies for almost 35 years. Is that correct?
It's something like that. Yes, it's over half my life.
Okay. In that
There
35
is
years, I
backup.
think you estimated it at 61 or 6,200 autopsies. Is that right?
Well, I actually had my staff count within the past few days,
Nice.
and I am
Okay.
between 6,200 and 6,300 autopsies I've done in my career. And in terms of total bodies I have examined, I'm just shy of 10,000.
10,000. And is there continuing sort of education for medical?
Do you think she goes round? Do you think she goes round saying my body counts 10,000? Because that could be misinterpreted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no one would believe her if she did.
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, that'd be quite a funny story. Yeah, what's your body count? Over 10,000.
Imagine being a coroner. You must really be. My dad used to be a paramedic as well, and he said that it was the strangest kind of doctors who became the ones who fooled around with the dead bodies because they were strange. It was strange people.
Yeah, I don't. I respect I respect Heidi. I respect anybody that works in that
medical
field or
examiners,
as
the way
a
they
coroner.
have
Couldn't
continuing
do it.
legal education for lawyers?
Correct. There is continuing medical education I have to undertake to maintain my medical
Hi, Christine.
license.
And how many hours a year are required?
Well, it's 40 hours every 2 years.
Okay. And given the fact that you've done autopsies for more than half of your life, do you teach at any of the conferences?
Occasionally, I will be asked to give instruction here in the county to investigators or police officers who are going to be investigators. I am post-certified by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Council to teach death investigation here in Georgia and have been since the mid-90s. When I was with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, I was an assistant professor of pathology for the Emory University School of Medicine to teach forensic pathology.
All right. And I translate that to mean you train the homicide detectives. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Do you train any other medical examiners in any capacity?
Not currently. I'm too busy with my full-time day-to-day activities. But we do have some informal meetings where the local medical examiners will try to get together and share cases, but that is very sporadic because of all of our overwhelming caseloads right now.
And yesterday, I think you testified about having some trainees. Obviously, that wasn't necessarily medical examiners. Who were you referring to as trainees that you trained?
Correct. Back at Fulton County, as I mentioned, when I was a resident, I rotated through the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office. Well, first of all, as a pathology resident, we would do a
Just I'll 1.25 this because it's boring. But just so people know, hi Murph, hello Murph Turf. So I'm not sure if it's the same in every county, but in Gwinnett County, she had to put a tender in to become the coroner, the medical examiner. So sometimes people are appointed coroner or they're employed as a coroner, but she's outside basically. She's tendered the position and she's gained it every year since about 2004, I believe it was. So that says a lot about her and her work, I think, as well. So yeah,
One thing I would love to change about all these courtrooms is stop with this hour-long explanation of what a coroner is. Just say you're a
I hate
coroner. Yeah, I checked the body. You have a degree that makes you capable of that. Yeah, I have done it all my life. Bang, let's go. We don't
Yeah.
waste time
And
like that in Denmark.
yeah, no, I agree with you. And a talk of the devil, Baker, Sal has joined us. Hello,
One month
Sal. We were talking about you
rotation in
earlier.
forensic pathology, and I did mine in
Penises and
1992
women.
as part of my just general pathology training. And then, as I said, I spent my entire 5th year at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office. So in the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, when I was on staff there, I would assist in the training of residents who were rotating through the program, as well as individuals who were doing the fellowship year. So had completed a residency in
I see.
pathology and were doing subspecialization in forensic pathology. So I was participating in their training and supervising their autopsies.
In the last 10 years, Dr. Terry, has any other medical examiner come to a different conclusion than you in the determination of the manner of death in any autopsy, whether it's a criminal case or a civil case?
Well, occasionally I have seen cases where other paid consultants have been given some of my cases to review and had a differing opinion. And certainly that happens from time to time, but it's been very infrequent.
All right, so in the past 10 years, has it happened less than half a dozen times?
I'd say less than 10 times.
Got you. And specifically in this case involving Tori Lang, were you ever made aware that any other medical examiner or any other private person came to a different conclusion than undetermined?
No, I'm not aware of anybody else coming to a different conclusion.
Specifically in this case, the body of Tori Lang arrived on July 28, 2021. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, she arrived when?
July 28, 2021. Is that right? Did she arrive at the medical examiner's office?
Let me double check something,
That's fine. Take your time.
because I'm not sure I'm
Oh, which
understanding
July?
what date you said that she arrived.
Yes, July 28.
28th, okay. Yes, I thought you were saying July 20th. No, that is correct. She arrived at our facility on July 28th, 2021.
And if I understand the process or procedure, an examination of the exterior of her body is done first. Is that right?
That is correct.
That takes about 90 minutes to complete?
It depends on the nature of the case, but in this case, I would say, given that I collected trace evidence, including all the swabs and smears that I collected, probably so. It was probably somewhere around an hour to 90 minutes.
And those swabs, that's part of what you discussed yesterday when you talked about the sexual assault kit. Is that right?
That is correct. And collecting the trace evidence, as I mentioned, the blood that was out of place that was on her right thigh, that was something else I collected as part of the trace evidence.
The examination of the interior of Tori Lang's body, that was done the next day on July 29, 2021?
That is correct.
And that took about how long?
Well, the internal examination also would probably have taken about an hour to an hour and a half.
And the report, your final report on all of your findings, when was that prepared?
Okay, well, as I'm conducting the external examination, I'm dictating over the body. So I'm recording in great detail what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. Following the completion of the internal examination, I dictate my findings right at that point in time. Then it takes some time for me to have the report transcribed and for me to proofread it. And so I actually signed off on the report on August 17th, 2021. That is when I finished my proofreading and finalized my report.
So if I understand what you said on July 29th, you made the determination that the manner of death was undetermined. Is that fair to say?
No, that's not fair to say.
All
That's what's fair to say is my external opinions and impressions are recorded on the 28th at the time I'm doing it. My internal impressions are recorded on the 29th. So I have that dictated and prepared to go to the transcriptionist. Then I'm communicating with the homicide detective. I'm collecting whatever other evidence might be outstanding, any other information I can get from my investigators, reviewing scene photographs before I proofread the report, make my final opinions and conclusions, and finalize the report on August 17th.
So your final decision in regards to manner of death being undetermined was made closer to August 17th of 2021 when the report was prepared. Is that right?
That is correct.
And if I understood your testimony, you spoke to the lead detective in the case before preparing that final report. Is that right?
That is correct. Detective David Smith and I spoke on multiple occasions regarding this case prior to the completion of my report and prior to my completing the death certificate. And I certified the death certificate on August 18th, 2021.
And when that report was prepared August 17th, the lead detective was David Smith, even though it changed later. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. And if I understood your report that I read correctly, you examined some photographs from the scene before you made that final report. Is that right?
That is correct.
And that's noted in your report on page 11?
I will double check that.
So this witness, just for anyone that doesn't know, is so important for the defense. Last time, I believe, I didn't watch it, the defense didn't put anybody on, no witnesses at all. Solely relied on this person. So her testimony is like this will be long because he needs to get everything out of her, basically, to make sure that it's suicide potentially. So that's why I think they're going into so much detail now. So just in case no one's seen that anyway. But I hate it. I'm the same as you. I just hate them going through stuff
Yes,
all the
that
time.
is correct.
And
Date
as
and
you said,
time.
you also spoke to
I
Detective
think
Smith.
this is okay.
before coming to you.
Talking about how did you do the examination and what did you write in your report? That's okay. But
Yeah.
the one with, I went to
Your
school. I
CV.
went to the University of Michigan. I got drunk in the third year of university. I went to another school where I kissed a boy at 2:15 on the 3rd of March, and you're just going through their full life. It's so.
No, this is fine what you do, but again, no one's gonna remember any of this anyway. It's more the gritty stuff that they want.
Yeah. The jury
again,
can be
final
put to
conclusion.
sleep. Go right into what's important.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
no one
Is that right?
is
That is
listening
correct.
after 30 minutes.
Detective Smith told you
Nope.
that the subject had
Nope,
expressed
you're
a
right.
desire to end her life. Did Detective Smith tell you that?
Your response?
I'm going to withdraw that question. You had a chance to speak to detectives.
Let me just instruct the jury to disregard the question that was propounded by Mr. Lawrence Lewis. You can either rephrase or move on.
I'm going to rephrase it. Detective Smith gave you information about the case. Is that right?
That is correct.
The information that Detective Smith gave you about the case that was also important in you making your final determination in regards to the manner of death. Is that right?
I don't know how I would characterize it as important, but it was a factor in considering my determination.
Okay, good. And irrespective of whether what he told you was the truth or not, you used information that he had given you along with the photographs at the scene and along with your observations of the internal and external autopsy. Is that right?
That is correct. I'm taking all of the information that's available to me and considering it.
And I believe you testified at an earlier hearing that you were looking for additional information that might be available prior to deciding whether or not you could come up with a more definitive manner of death. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And those are almost two questions in one. One, you did say that at a prior hearing under oath. Is that right?
That is correct.
And number two, that was true. You were trying to gather as much as you can so you could make a definitive suicide homicide as opposed to undetermined. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, the science itself, the science says that Tori Lang was lying on her back facing skyward when she was shot. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. When she received the gunshot wound, that was the position she was in.
All right, the science is clear that she was not shot while standing and then fell backwards. That's correct, right?
That is correct.
And how did
It
you
is
know that?
Iris. Yes.
Well, as I testified earlier, based on the blood flow pattern and also looking at how her braids are positioned and looking, and the particulate dirt on her back, I think helps support that. But mainly the factors, the science that puts her in that position is the blood flow and the fact that her braids are fanned out behind her head. She didn't just fall in that position. There was she lay in that position and then received that gunshot wound.
And the science is clear
Sorry,
that she
this
wasn't
one.
shot
Yeah,
while
Iris.
sitting on her buttocks and fell backwards. Is that right?
That is correct.
Same reason,
For
blood
this-
flow.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, yes, for the same reason, based on the blood flow pattern.
Okay, and in your almost 35 years, can you recall a homicide where somebody had laid down on the ground in preparation for being shot?
Let's see, lying on the ground, I can't really say necessarily, well, actually, I can't think of a self-inflicted case where a person was lying on the ground, and that has been relatively recent. It is not unusual for people
Well, Baker, what do you say?
What lying down to off yourself? You could do that. My dad had a story he liked to tell when he went out to a farm to pick up one who had been blowing a shotgun, and she laid down in the, I don't know what you call it in English, where you put all the manure. Because
Yeah, manure, yeah.
yeah, you have this big pile of manure, and she went out there, sat down, and ate the shotgun, because then her wife didn't have to clean the house. That was really considerate of her. But how can a person offering yourself, do you expect them to act reasonably? What is the right way to do it? It's the kind of things that make me go, why put that before the jury? It's, yeah.
I think the state made a big deal about it, about the grounds around the body and everything, was because essentially there were no footmarks or anything around the body. That's what the defense is saying. But then the state is saying, well, no one's foot were there. There was no sign of her collapsing. So was she on the floor? There's a lot of complicated. I totally agree with what you're saying. You know, it's just
Yeah.
there's a lot of complications between both sides at the minute of was she standing, was she lying down, was she you know, and it's like,
And
geez.
again, it's to the temple, right?
I'm not I'm not 100%.
No, but I think she said the side of the head. And
Yeah, it's
again,
somewhere.
anything here or here, whatever hand you are predominantly using, I would consider, even if you're sitting, standing, jumping in the air, it 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 could be self-inflicted. There is a reasonable degree of doubt if it's looking like a self-inflicted. If it was in the back of the head or something execution style, yeah, then I would be wondering if they were standing or lying down.
No,
It's
it's to the side he was, but where the side, I'm not sure. And there's also she thinks there was 10 inches from the tip of the pistol to the head away, you know, so roughly about that much away then on shot. So it wasn't on the temple, it was a little bit away, about 10
yeah,
inches away.
but
So
she had some prior. Did she
yes.
have some cutting incidents and stuff that the mother didn't want to answer yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah,
So there's mental health issues and stuff, and there's a few. She apparently tried to kill herself, alleviate herself before. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that the mother did not want to answer. Um, so yeah, this is why it's getting complicated, you know. Um, what have we got here?
good
Plus,
morning,
what are
toxic.
you thinking someone might do it? Imagine what position he would have to be in if she was lying down. Yes, true. Bodies on the floor. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, side of that was so side of her head on the right side because the bullets flew. They were about, I think they were 9 feet and 12 feet away from the body, which she said is normal. It's
yeah.
fine. That's in accordance with it. Lawyer's kid, hello. This is Baker, lawyer's kid. I told you about him yesterday. His channel is pinned in at the top. Please go and subscribe to him. Lawyer's kid, as you can imagine, she is a kid of a lawyer, so she's always got great insight. I don't know. I don't. I think it was the evening, so there's quite a few hours, I believe, Iris. She's just too many people. It's hard to keep up with chat sometimes. Good morning, Toxic. Also, Toxic, put a link in. Do you, Baker? Do you get stuff from Toxic? The as the gavel drops. That Discord. Do you remember the as the gavel drops Discord?
I'm not really on. Don't mention Discord when Jung Min is here, because she's pestering me
Oh, I
about going
know.
to Discord all the time, and
I
and
know.
I,
I
I
know.
I rarely go there, so I'm not really on Discord that much. So
I
sorry,
don't
Jung.
like Discord. Yeah, no, I don't like it. So she's on my case as well. But if you do join, click the link when Toxic puts up for as a gavel drops. Every case you think of is there. All the
Oh,
documents, everything. I'm not even kidding you, Baker. It's a trove. You get lost, but if you do a criminal case, or everything's in there. You don't have to research anything. It's there for you. So as long as you promote, there is Discord there. As long as you promote the Discord, then Toxic's more than happy for you to use the stuff and utilize your own screen and stuff like that. So.
well,
Right. Where is Baker's accent? Denmark. Whereabouts in
Yeah,
Denmark?
it's a Danish accent, and it's kind of thick sometimes. And when I only say 5 words, it's probably hard to hear. So, but I try to Americanize my speaking, but I'm still kind of bad at English. So you have to enjoy it. And in about 5 minutes, someone will call me saying I have a Dutch accent. That's
Yeah. And
Americans.
I
They
got
don't know
Erin
anything.
saying that. Erin keeps saying that I got English accent, so it's yeah, I get it. I get how tough it is, baker out there.
Yeah, but what's an English accent? A Scouse, a Yorkshire, a Posh.
Yeah, I know.
It's
She just does it to wind me up. So
yeah,
'cause she knows I'm Welsh. So
and we love you for
um
it.
yeah, I love Erin.
Yeah,
Right, let's go back to this one
yeah.
then, because they're all
Prior to
there.
shooting themselves, to strike somewhat of a position of repose, sitting, lying back, something like that. But outside on the ground, I can't think of one other case that was a suicide that was recent within the past few years.
All right. Have you ever seen a homicide situation where a person sort of sits there and sprays out their braids and in repose and then somebody else shoots them? Have you had a case like that?
No, I cannot think of a case I've had like that.
All right. And while lying on her back looking upward, the bullet enters the right side of Tori Lang's head. Is that right?
That is correct.
And it travels to the left side of her head. Is that right?
That is correct.
But the round never actually exits her head. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Did the round lose momentum or was it prevented from exiting her head by the ground or another object?
It stopped because it lost momentum. The left side of her head was not against the ground or any other object. And one of the reasons I know that is there's no abrasion or scraping of the opposite side of her head. I recovered the bullet within the fractured skull on the left side of her head beneath the scalp.
The science tells us that the bullet lost momentum as it traveled through her brain. Is that fair to say?
Or through her brain and skull. Yes, her head.
Yeah, and I say the science because that's sort of how I see you. I see you as speaking for science. That's how you see yourself? Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
If science had a mouth, we wouldn't need you. If it had a brain and vocal cords, but it doesn't. So here we have Dr. Terry. Is that fair to say?
Well, okay. Yes, I'll go with that. Thank you.
All
Pin.
right. The science also tells us that the muzzle
pinned to the
is
top,
approximately 10 to 12 inches away from Tori's head when the weapon's fired. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and that's based on the stippling.
And what would the jury see if the muzzle was placed directly against her head when the gun was fired?
If the muzzle was placed directly against her head at the time it was fired, what I would expect to see is what's referred to as a stellate entrance wound. Because as I said yesterday, when the gun is discharged, you have gases that come out of the end of the gun, and the gases would get trapped between the scalp and the skull and cause the skin to tear or lacerate. And that gives a very irregular appearance that's somewhat star-shaped. That's what is typically seen with a contact gunshot wound to the head. You may or may not see a muzzle impression from the gun, too, with a contact wound. And then typically you also see soot at the edges are embedded within the wound. And sometimes you can have some burning of the edges of the wound, again, because you've got flame, heat, gases coming out. And if the muzzle of the gun is directly against the head, all of these materials are going into the wound path.
And if that muzzle was at 3 or 4 inches, what would the jury see in the photographs?
Okay. What you would see, you would not have this really star-shaped appearance that you get with a contact wound, but you would expect to see more soot around the edges of the wound. You might see some burning of the wound edges, maybe yes, maybe no, but definitely would see soot, and you would see gunpowder injury that would be more tightly aggregated. Because imagine taking a gun and firing sand or salt out of it. The closer you get, the more tightly aggregated it's going to be when it hits the skin. The further back, the more dispersed it's going to be.
And during your 35 years, you've seen a number of self-inflicted gunshot wounds, have you not?
That is correct.
And with most self-inflicted gunshot
Thank you.
wounds, the muzzle is placed relatively close to the head. Is that fair to say?
I would say yes. The
Okay.
vast majority of the time, it's a contact or very close range.
But you also are familiar with self-inflicted gunshot wounds that aren't close contact. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Have you seen someone use his or her thumb to pull the trigger in a self-inflicted gunshot wound?
Yeah, yes, I have. And let me just preface that by saying most of the time, I don't know how a person is holding a firearm at the time they discharge it. The only way I know for sure is if it's recorded or I see video. And earlier in my career, there was a case where an individual recorded his suicide and used both of his thumbs to shoot himself and pull the trigger. So I know it occurs. I know it can occur. And I actually have seen it based on video.
Have you seen a case where somebody shoots themselves multiple times in the head?
Yes.
How does that happen?
Well, if it's very infrequent, and I have had, I'd say maybe about 5 or 6.
Again, just in case anyone doesn't know, this is because there's 2 bullets found next to each other. So that's why this is important to be covered, because obviously the state the same. If you kill yourself, they alleviate yourself. Jeez, I keep saying and then how can you do it? I know, how can you do it twice? But there is precedent to it, essentially.
Yeah, and you can have a muscle reaction. So yeah, but it's not great for the state that she says, yeah, it's not common, but it happens. For them, it's not a great thing.
This is their star witness, the defense. It's a state witness, but it's a defense's star witness. So yeah,
Yeah.
self-delete. Sorry, Jamie.
6 such
Self-delete.
cases over my
Yeah.
career. The way it happens is if the first shot is not incapacitating enough. I think the most I've had is someone who shot himself 3 times in the head. I think in Dr. DeMayo's gunshot wound book, and he was
Sorry for stopping all the time. Young, you just literally described yourself. Who else asked like a million questions every stream except for Shelley? So I think you just described. You met your partner.
the expert on gunshot wounds. I think he said he had a case where someone shot themselves 7 times in the head. So if you don't get a good shot, for example, the man I recall who shot himself 3 times in the head, first held the gun away from his head, pulled the trigger, and just grazed the back of his head.
Wendy,
Then moved a little closer and wound up shooting himself in the face. And that was a close range wound. And then put the gun against his head and shot himself in the temple. The very first one I ever had was many years ago when I worked in Fulton County. An individual shot himself twice in the head with a small caliber weapon. Both wounds were contact, but one was so low that it completely missed the brain and just kind of went through the base of the skull. Then he moved it up a little bit higher. Both were contact, and there was no doubt this was self-inflicted because he was in a room that had burglar bars on the window and one of the latches on the inside of the door, such that you cannot exit the door and latch, kind of that loop type latch around the ball. So there was no way someone could have shot him and then left the door secured in such a manner. So there's no doubt he was the only one in the room. So it does happen. It is very infrequent.
Is the gunshot wound to the head or face the most frequent type of self-inflicted gunshot wound?
I would say yes. And in fact, in looking at gunshot wounds of the head, most frequently it's to the side of the head.
And what percentage of the self-inflicted gunshot wounds are women versus men?
Oh, women versus men. I know a lot of people think women don't typically shoot themselves in the head, but we've come a long way. We can do a lot of things that men do, and certainly women do shoot themselves in the head. I think all in all, with suicidal gunshot wounds in the head, we do tend to see more men that do it, but certainly women shoot themselves in the head as well. And it's hard for me to establish a percentage off the top of my head, but I'd say I probably see women shoot themselves in the head more than I see them shoot themselves in other areas of the body, such as the chest or abdomen.
In your experience, in some of the cases where the gunshot wounds are self-inflicted, person committing suicide might fire the weapon before he or she shoots himself. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What's a stovepipe?
Okay. A stovepipe is when the spent cartridge casing in a semi-automatic weapon does not eject. So as a medical examiner, most of the time I see this when the person holding the weapon does not have a tight grip on the weapon, and the way the new round gets chambered is the slide moves, the spent cartridge casing gets ejected, and then as it drops back forward, it rechambers the next round. If you don't have resistance provided by the hand, it's hard for that slide to cycle back, and so the cartridge doesn't eject and will jam the weapon. And certainly as someone who's inexperienced in firing firearms, I've had that happen when I've shot a firearm. If I don't have a firm enough grip on the weapon, and as I said, we see it in some cases of suicide where the person shoots themselves. They don't have a tight grip on the weapon, and it jams.
So the wrist or the arm going limp during the course of the self-inflicted gunshot wound might produce a stovepipe. Is that right?
Yes, it might produce that. And in fact, the term I've heard my investigators use is they'll say, "Oh, they limp wristed it and it jammed."
Like Sal.
In the case of Tori Lang, would you have expected her hand to have a firm grip on the firearm after the type of brain injury that you saw?
No.
So if Tori test fired the weapon successfully, and then there was a stovepipe with the fatal shot, clearing the weapon might explain why the shell casings came to rest where they were resting. Is that fair to say?
That is correct. If someone clears a jam, that could explain a spent cartridge casing being some distance from the body.
And it's fair to say, as you said, I believe in your report, that you're looking at the scene and where the shell casings are, where the body is positioned, when you're trying to make your determination on the manner of death. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say I'm looking at all the information that's available to me.
All right. Is it also possible the gun was test fired twice, accounting for the distance of the shell casings, and then a stove piping occurred after the self-inflicted gunshot wound?
That is certainly possible.
In your almost 35 years experience, have you seen or studied a suicide where someone has shot himself or herself at a distance of 10 to 12 inches before?
I have seen a study case where an individual was shot in the center of the head, or it was self-inflicted, and it had very dispersed stippling, like we see in this case here. Within the past, I'd say 5 to 8 years, I did have a case where someone shot themselves at somewhat of a distance, but it was in the side of the face. Again, very dispersed stippling. That also was self-inflicted. It was not as well placed of a shot as we have in this case.
August.
Oh, and I'm sorry.
Sure.
And you're asking about, the 10 to 12 inch range. Again, there are other circumstances I've had where, like mentioning the man who shot himself 3 times in the head. That first shot just had stippling around it, but it was a great.
Hi, Lady Law. Baker, do you know Lady Law?
I've seen her in your chat, and you had her on at some point, I believe, in a stream. So
She's my number one co-host. I love Lady Law. She's called the Gilf. We call her the Gilf because she's a grandma. And Baker, when you see her, you will definitely want her. Do you know what I mean? So very, very attractive woman. So we get her on, beauty, and I'm the beast. That's what we do.
It's the tale as old as time. It works every time. A beauty and a beast.
It does.
So
It does. So she's going to be on our members only stream tomorrow as well. So you'll get to see her if you're a member. You remember? You see, she hates it. That's what she said. Stop it right now.
Well, my mom always used to say my kids couldn't call her grandma because she wasn't old enough. In Denmark we call it father's mother or father's mother's mother. So she was father's mother. She wouldn't be called grandma. She wasn't old enough. So that's kind of funny. But she looks like she's what? She had her first baby before she was born. If she's a grandma, she looks 25.
So we got 3 gilfs. We got Lady Law, Heidi, and Sarah P. Those are the resident gilfs here. So there might be some more.
Yeah, well,
Lady Law last time.
as
He was 16, yeah.
As John has been writing, we tend to every community. If you're the LGBTQ or kink community or the GILF community, we'll welcome you all with open arms.
We're all over it. We are all over it. It's not a problem. I'm not going to stand you up this time, though, Lady Law. I will still be up waiting for you. So yeah, that's Lady Law. She's also got a YouTube channel, so please go subscribe to hers. You know where to go. I think most people do, and I think Lady Law will have. I promoted you countless times, Baker, so I'm sure she is a member of yours.
You're way too nice throwing my name out there all the time, but
oh no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
Sal's everybody. It's all up the top.
Yeah, it's GILFs do it better. Well,
yeah, I agree. Well, you see,
know.
Yes.
I'm a virgin with 2 kids.
Raising injury to the back of his head, and that was likely of similar range, but that shot was not the fatal shot. There were then 2 subsequent shots.
Right.
I got you. Report completed August 17, 2021. You determined manner of death undetermined, correct?
That is correct.
When you and the state prosecutor texted on Monday or Tuesday of this week, it was still your expert opinion that the manner of death was undetermined. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Prior to your testimony yesterday afternoon, when was the last time you emailed with the state prosecutor?
Monday night.
Monday night. Is it
Monday night, Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning.
Yesterday morning.
I'm going to show you what's going to be marked D1, Dr. Terry, an email. Oh, sorry.
I'm also going to be doing a stream with Salvador at some point when he pulls his finger out and invites me. So you can subscribe to him as well.
That's the worst part of us living in the real world, having to fit our time schedules. Because I'm on with Cool Frog this Sunday, and he normally goes on at
Between you and the state prosecutor.
around 2, 3
Tuesday
o'clock
morning
our
at
time
about 1:26
in the
a.m., is that
morning.
right?
That is
So
correct.
he was
Oh,
gracious
geez.
enough to let me sleep so I can be on in the afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesus, it knocks you, doesn't it? Even me doing the members only Thursday, it's going to go on to about 1, 2 o'clock my time, So, it knocks you out, but it
Yeah,
is what it is.
this weekend. I did the expert on Saturday morning. I got up at 2:30, and then you're just knackered because then you take a nap, but you can't really sleep because it's bright outside. And then I was on making Legos with MLS and the expert and Val at 2:30 again the next day. Went straight to the gym, went home to sleep, slept for 90 minutes, and I was just Monday. I think I went to bed like 9 o'clock or something because I was done.
Cream cracker. Cream cracker. I get you. I get you. I know the feeling's
Email to
crap,
you
isn't it?
at 8:35
Yeah.
the prior day, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and in your email, August 7th, 1:26.
Well, Mr. Lewis, if you're gonna go into content, are
Sorry,
you
Judge.
moving to tender it?
Yes, Judge, I'm gonna tender D1.
Response from the state, no objection? All right, no objection. D1 is admitted without objection.
Okay, the overall email is, listen, I can't determine if it's a suicide or homicide. That's the overall message in the email, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that was yesterday morning,
That is correct.
30 hours ago,
That is
which
correct.
is the same opinion you held 2 years ago. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, good. So I want to talk a little bit ultimately about what's in the email. You send the email 1:26 a.m., is that right?
That is correct.
And in the email, you indicate that you understand that there's been some manipulation of the scene at Yellow River Park. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's what you testified to yesterday, right?
That is correct.
I understand that there had to be a gun and that the gun was removed, correct?
Use the
That is correct.
microphone.
And that's also what's in my report.
I know.
It's
I
just so
don't
annoying.
know what was removed from the spacing where the blood began to pool. Is that right?
That is correct.
But we know that there has been manipulation. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
Okay, so, and we also know that there's maybe been some manipulation in terms of the blood on Tori's leg.
That is correct. It had to have been put there by some other object vis-a-vis some other person. Somebody else was there. That's something I knew from back at the beginning. Someone else was there at the time this happened. But what that person's role in her sustaining the gunshot wound to the head, I can't say. And that's been the overall message, excuse me, throughout.
All right, and I'd like you to read that first line of your email at 1:26 a.m.
I wrote, I understand there has been scene manipulation, hence not being able to exclude the involvement of another, and the quote, undetermined, unquote, ruling for manner. That is the single biggest reason why I can't exclude homicide as a potential manner of death.
Okay, I want to explore that last line. That is the single biggest reason why I cannot exclude homicide as a potential manner of death. Was that written in frustration at 1:26 a.m.? I'm gonna
Yes.
ask that question first. I think it is, Judge.
Would it not be relevant as to her reasoning or thoughts for writing that? She's on cross-examination.
Only that she wrote it is relevant. There is an explanation, but characterizing it as frustration is irrelevant and material. If there's a reason that she wrote it, she can write, he can ask about what the reason was, but there has been no indication from Dr. Terry that it was written in frustration.
She can obviously say no, Judge.
Leading questions are permitted on cross-examination. The objection is overruled. You may repeat your question for Dr. Terry.
The second line, that is the single biggest reason why I cannot exclude homicide as a potential manner of death. You wrote that line to the prosecutor, is that right?
That is correct.
Was that written in frustration at 1:26 a.m.?
Yes, it was.
Okay, as I read it, it implies that you are leaning towards suicide, but cannot exclude homicide because the scene was manipulated. Am I reading that right?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Huge.
I'm
That's
asking
huge.
about, obviously, you may
Yeah.
have inferred it. I'm
That's
asking
the
ultimately about
reasonable doubt.
frustration because later
That is, I mean, you can't get better than that for the defense.
in that same email you wrote to the prosecutor, the examples you cite don't seem reasonable or consistent with the
You
evidence.
like
Did write
any
that in the
guy,
email at
Jamie, let's
1:26
be
a.m.?
honest.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And
I'm
I'm sorry, may I offer an explanation as to why the email was sent at 1:26?
Sure you can.
Okay.
I mean, other than the fact that you're working at 1:26 a.m.
Well, yes. Also, yesterday morning, I had to be in court in Macon. And so Monday night, I had to travel from here to Macon. I got to Macon at about 12:30, and that's when I had a chance to check my email from earlier in the evening. And so that's why my response was at that point in time. So it's not that I was, just sitting at home, gears churning and didn't have anything better to do at 1:26. I had been traveling, and that was my chance to check.
How many hours do you typically work a week, Dr. Terry?
I don't know about per week, but I probably work about 16-hour days, 16
Okay,
or more.
16-hour days, 6 days a week.
True.
Yeah,
16
pretty much. Yeah, I have over the past couple of years have tried to take more weekends off, but most of the time it is spent working.
Okay, this last weekend, were you successful in taking Saturday and Sunday off, or was it just one
Terry,
day?
Your objection, relevance.
Goes to work ethic, goes to explain ultimately what's in the email, goes to explain the frustration with other people not listening after you work a 16-hour day.
I will allow the question.
Did you understand my question?
I did. I did not go into the office to work a standard day, but I did do paperwork at home. And I think it was Sunday night, not Sunday, Saturday night after going to a baseball game, I did go to the office to print out some reports, and I spent about 4 hours there. So even when I try to take time off, a lot of times I don't.
And that was good for that week, this past weekend. That was good for you.
That was. I mean,
Okay.
again, I didn't go in and actually do cases, but I was working on trying to get reports out.
August 8th, yesterday,
what that means.
1:26 a.m. Was that the last email that you sent to the state prosecutor?
I do believe it was.
In an effort to be as clear with the science as you could be, you emailed the state prosecutor after sworn testimony back in April of this year also, did you not?
That is correct.
I'm going to show you what's going to be marked defense exhibit number 2.
and the judge is a heavy breather as well.
Yeah,
She's a
that's
very
so
heavy
annoying. It's
breather.
the worst thing is not using the mic. Then heavy breathers and coughers, coughing people when there's.
Yeah.
It gets annoying because we're sitting here for so many hours.
I know.
Do you have a question, Mr. Lewis?
I'm just going to let her review it 1 second, Judge, make sure we orient. That's an email that you sent to the prosecutor back on April 28, 2023.
That is correct. And I also CC'd you or forwarded it to you.
All right, and that email was sent at 12:42 a.m. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I'm assuming that it's safe to assume that you return emails either at or shortly after midnight after the rest of your day is done. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, and back on April 28th, in that email, you wrote to the state prosecutor and explained how a stovepipe could occur from a limp wrist on a semi-automatic gun. Did you not?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you write to explain how the shell casings could have ended up where they were located on Tori's body?
Or around her body?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. Based on your 35 years experience, correct?
Correct. Now, that's going back into my training, but yes. Okay.
Right. Based on the 10,000 bodies that you either studied or looked at, right? That's
Correct.
what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. And Judge, I'm going to ask that D2 be admitted. D1 and D2 are being, I'm going to contend they're being admitted for the record, but I'm going to ask that D2 be admitted also because I want to get into D2.
Any objection to D2?
Just a foundation, Your Honor. Well, the content was not verified by Dr. Terry to be true or correct, and nothing had been added to or taken away from it, that it was in fact the exact text of the email that she sent.
All right, do you want to clean up the foundation?
That's no problem. Dr. Terry, as best you can remember from the email, April 28th at 12:30 midnight, does that appear to be the entirety of the email that you forwarded to the prosecutor and CC'd to me?
Yes, it does appear to be the entirety of it. And again, it was at 12:42 a.m. and it was sent to Mr. Lewis, but I also CC'd Detective Carter, Richard Escher, who's a DA's investigator as well. And then, as I indicated, I had forwarded this to you as well.
Right. So when you say first Mr. Lewis, you mean Norris Lewis?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's fine. We got you. And in that email, April 28th, you wrote, in this case.
Let me just confirm that there's no further
Sorry.
objection. So with the additional questions posed to Dr. Terry, any further objection from the state to D1 and D2 being admitted for record purposes only?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and they are both admitted without objection, both for record purposes.
Thank you, Judge. And you wrote in that email, in this case, this was after your sworn testimony, correct?
That is correct.
In this case, the Tori Lang case, given the physical evidence, either scenario is a plausible possibility. That's what you wrote in the email, did you not?
That is correct. That is what I wrote.
Okay, when we say either scenario is a plausible possibility, you're talking about one, Tori Lang could have killed herself, suicide, correct?
Correct.
Or two, she could have laid down and was shot by another person who laid the gun 10 to 12 inches from her head. Is that right?
That is correct.
Either one is possible. Is that right?
That is correct. And I use the word plausible, but yes.
Plausible
Correct.
possibility that
Right.
either one could have happened.
Right. I'm not wanting to play word games, but I'm, just to use the phrasing that I use there, I did use the word plausible. Either one exists as a possibility. Not saying either one of these is impossible.
Speaking for science, is that right?
Exactly. Because at the time when, after giving my sworn testimony, it dawned on me that there was emphasis, again, as I said, on what was there and what, not thinking about what possibly was not there. And up until that point in time, I was not aware that anyone had considered the possibility of a stovepipe in this semi-automatic weapon. And with a lot of emphasis being placed on where the spent cartridge casings were and making it sound like, therefore, it would be an impossibility for her to shoot herself, there was something that had not been considered. And I really thought both sides needed to be aware of this, because again, it's easy to see what's there. It's harder to see what's not there and why it might not be there.
And your goal is always to make sure we get to the truth. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
No further questions.
Right, redirect examination by
Oh.
the state.
Dr. Terry, the email string that the council referred to, that happened in Monday night, who initiated that email string?
I believe I did.
And that was,
That's right. I do know I did, because you had come and met with me. Let me look at something right quick. You had met with me on the 3rd, and in the course of that meeting had asked me about if there were any other pictures that needed to be shown during my testimony. And this past weekend, as I was contemplating going out to the scene at the time when this incident occurred, to kind of see how dark it was at the scene, I was speaking to a coworker about this, and we pulled up a picture, and that's when I noticed, or that's when the void in the coagulated blood was noticed at that point in time. And that's why I contacted Mr. Lewis to say, Mr. Norris Lewis, to say this photograph needs to be shown as part of my testimony. Again, this is on the heels of a meeting that we had on August 3rd, and then my looking at the case over the weekend and seeing that.
Are you referring to August 3rd of this year?
Of this year, yes.
All right, thank you.
and when you asked for that specific photograph to be used, did you provide an explanation as to why the void was important, or in what manner the void was important?
Well, initially I just said that the void's important, and then you responded back asking exactly why, and then I responded with more of an explanation.
And was there then a response to your explanation?
Yes, there was.
And were questions asked?
Yes, there were.
And the email that the other Mr. Lewis is referring to is the email in response to the questions that were asked in response to your email asking why.
That is exactly it.
Dr. Terry, how many times have we met in preparation for this case?
In preparation for this case, let's see, let me refer here.
She's very
Yes,
organized.
Everything written down.
We have met twice in my office.
Twice in your office.
Correct.
And we actually met out in the hallway once while you were here on another case, and we talked about this case.
That is correct. We did.
And during those meetings, whether they are planned or by chance, do I ask you questions?
Yes.
Do you do your best to answer those questions within your training?
Yes, I do.
And understanding that lawyers are not doctors and do not know everything, is it common for an attorney, be it a attorney for the state or be it a defense attorney, to ask you questions that frustrate you?
Yes.
Is that limited to me in this case?
No, it's not.
The photograph that you asked me to include has been admitted as State's Exhibit number 13, correct?
That is correct.
And what you were commenting on was a void in the coagulated blood.
That is correct.
Is
You don't get to see them, so I don't know what she's talking
what you can
about.
testify to is that there is a void in the coagulated blood.
That is correct.
Can you testify as to, with certainty, as to what object that may or may not have been?
I can't say with certainty. I have suspicion, but I can't say with certainty.
And so all you can do is report what your suspicions are.
That is correct.
Even if you were correct about what the object was and the way it was positioned in the void in the coagulated blood, could you testify about how it came to rest there?
Not with certainty.
Could you testify as to whose hand it was in before it came to rest there?
Again, not with certainty, but I think in thinking about how such an object would come to rest here, I think we need to stop and think about possible scenarios, because that's what I do. That's what I play through my head, trying to figure out how to make sense of the physical evidence and what happened and what we could be looking at. As I have indicated multiple times in this case, what gives me trouble is the fact that evidence has been disturbed here. And this has been known from the beginning. The gun's gone, and I've got blood transfer on her thigh. Well, how did the blood transfer get there? Somehow, the blood from her head has gotten on her thigh. She didn't do it. And in this photograph, we can see a void, which would explain why something was there and has been moved. We do know one thing that is absent from the scene is the gun. Could that be consistent with the shape of a gun? I think it could. Can I say absolutely? No, I can't. But, and then getting back to, well, whose hand could the gun have been in and wound up in that position? Well, it seems to me, if you're talking about a gunshot wound that's being inflicted from about 10 to 12 inches away and someone else is holding it, there would be no reason for it to drop in blood near her head.
That's not good.
If she's got it in her
for
hand,
the
there'd be a
state.
reason why it might drop.
That is awful. I see the state ask some stupid questions.
They walked right into that one.
I mean, yes,
That's-
let's see what she
And
finishes.
fall and come to rest there. So these are things that I'm considering as I contemplate what could have occurred. Again, did someone else have shot her and someone else had been holding the gun? Sure. But if that void is due to a gun, I have no good reason why someone would drop it that close to her head and get blood on it. Because if you're holding the gun, why would you drop it there? If she's holding it, it's possible she could drop it and it could land there and get blood on it.
Wow.
Those are two possibilities that we've considered, that she's holding the gun, somebody else is holding the gun. Another possibility is she and another person could both be holding the gun. Another possibility, somebody else could be holding the gun and propping up on her arm and shooting. So there are a lot of things that I'm considering, a lot of scenarios, and whatever scenario we're considering has got to match the physical evidence. And these are the issues that I'm grappling with and have grappled with as the medical examiner handling this case, and the reason I've called it undetermined.
It's one thing,
Yeah,
one
Uncle
thing
Phil
you
messed
said
up.
in that answer
Mhm.
was, why would someone put their hand to the gun in the blood and get blood on them? Does that
Objection,
assume
Judge, that's not what she said. I'm going to object to this mischaracterization of the evidence. That's not what she said.
it was a paraphrase of what you said?
Okay, repeat your question for me, please.
As part of the answer you just gave, you asked, why would someone basically intentionally get blood on them? Why would they lean in, touch her, touch the gun, and get blood on them?
Same objection, Judge. That's not what she's saying. He's characterizing
okay.
it that way. That's not what she's saying.
Take a breath. I don't even find that to be a question. I find that to be a comment. Is there a question?
There would be, if I could be allowed to finish one.
What is your question, please?
Are you assuming an intentionality with regard to a third party getting blood on their person or transferring blood to Tori Lang?
Pause for a second. Is there any objection to that question? All right, let's proceed.
No, I'm not assuming an intentionality. What I am assuming is if someone else is holding the gun, why would that person then drop the gun in close proximity to her, thereby having blood get on the gun? Because
Reasonable doubt right
if
there.
I've got the gun in my hand and I'm going to take it away from the scene, why do I drop it near the body and then ultimately come back and pick it up with blood on it? Again, just as I think about this.
If you had the gun in your hand, leaned in closer to check if the person you just shot was dead and picked it back up, is the physical evidence consistent with that?
I would say no, because at that point in time, we've got blood flow and the gun would be placed on top of the blood, not there, and then having the blood kind of pool around it.
So
Uncle Phil, stop.
is your testimony that the gun was removed after the blood was coagulated?
Yes, it'd be my opinion based on what we're seeing here, and that's making the assumption that that's an outline of the gun. Whatever object was there has been moved after we've gotten the blood that's kind of coagulated around it.
And this assumes A, that it was a gun, B, that it was in the coagulated blood, and C, that blood first coagulated in the fashion here in this void.
Correct.
Can science say all that? Literally.
Can science say,
Let me rephrase my question. Can you, with certainty, can I have the pointer?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm trying not to stand in front of the jury. Can you testify with certainty that blood is coagulated in this fashion was in fact here in this void?
that blood was in that void?
That blood was coagulated just like it is here. Can you testify that it was in fact coagulated there before this void was created?
I can testify that there was something there in that void. How much blood was coagulated or on top of what was there, I can't say, and whether it was coagulated, but there's something that has interrupted that coagulated blood that we see between those two areas. So I'm not sure if that exactly answers, but I can't say the degree of coagulation. But as I gave an analogy yesterday, the blood coming out is kind of like lava coming out of a volcano. It's going to flow over, and there's been something that has interrupted that flow.
Do you in fact know what that thing was?
As I've said, no, I can't say with certainty. Again, I have suspicion based on that outline and based on what I know to be absent from the scene.
And can you say with certainty that this area looked just like this area before that object was there?
As I said, no, I can't, because I can't say how much blood was there. Only that something has interrupted that flow of blood.
Defendant's lawyer asked you about whether or not you had seen suicides at a medium range of 10 to 12 inches.
Correct.
And you said, I think you said you had.
Correct, but very, very infrequently. I mentioned a study case, one of kind of the continuing ed cases I had done. I mentioned the one where the guy shot himself 3 times in the head, with the first shot being at a medium range that just grazed his head. And I mentioned a woman who shot herself kind of impulsively and in the side of the face that exited out the top of the head. That was from a similar type range.
And so that's 2 instances that you mentioned.
That I personally handled.
That you personally handled out of 10,000 bodies that you've examined.
Correct.
Don't dismiss it now.
There were also mention of multiple shot suicides that were asked about by counsel.
They trumplicated with, well, it's only 2, but it doesn't matter how many it was. She's seen it, so
Yeah, why did and she doesn't seem like a person who invents anything. She keeps to the truth and is really, really great at explaining and saying, well, I don't know this, I know that. And then all of a sudden you want her to repeat that she have seen a double shot suicide before. That's just stupid in my opinion, especially after you just got reamed by the part about she could have done it and it would be the natural way for the gun to come down there. That's just stupid. But Dylan,
you're gonna go right.
I'm gonna say thank you for having me on, and chat. Thank you all for entertaining us. I will be on later, but everyone stick around and give Dylan some love and thank him for bringing this case to us. It's an interesting case, and I can't get right now with what I've watched. I can't get beyond reasonable doubt.
No, neither can I. So far, anyway. But
yeah, so far.
With that, Baker, thank you for coming on. We will have Baker on again. Don't you worry. We'll plan things a lot better next time. Might duel something or something like that. But thank you, Baker. Obviously, we'll keep your link up the top as well for people to come in and subscribe to you. So appreciate you, my friend, and I'll speak to you soon. All right.
We'll see each other soon. Bye.
Ta-ra, mate. Ta-ra. Okay, that's Baker. Thank you, everyone. Right, we'll get back to this. Baker's cool, isn't he? He's cool. I like Baker, so hopefully we'll do a bit more with Baker moving on. He's very, very good. So we'll just play this now, see what else comes up.
That's correct.
And those are, I guess, a little more frequent.
Well, a little more. If I see one about every year and a half, I think we asked. I believe I was asked about multiple gunshot wounds in the head, and And if I say, when I said that I see one about every year and a half, I'm thinking about multiple gunshot wound suicides that are not necessarily limited to the head. So if we talk about multiple gunshot wounds of the head suicide cases I've seen, okay, maybe about 5 in my career. So 5 out of about 10,000.
So now, do those overlap with the medium range suicides?
Well, yes, as I indicated, there's that one where the man shot himself 3 times in the head. So that would be one case that would overlap with that.
So out of the 10,000 bodies, there are 6 that were either medium range or multiple shots.
No, I think, I counted that one in there. So again, estimating about 5 out of 10,000. The point is, it's rare, but it's not impossible. It's not unheard of. It's infrequent.
Put State's Exhibit 13 back up. Your determination of the range in which the shot was fired was, I don't want to invade your space,
Oh, that's good.
was 10 to 12 inches. This is not to scale or anything, it's just an approximation. But would that put the muzzle of the weapon bearish?
Right. It would put it further away. But again, where the gun is, the place where the gun is discharged is not necessarily going to be reflective of where the gun winds up.
No, understood.
Okay.
But it would put the muzzle of the weapon bearish.
It's probably so. Yes.
And then the body of the weapon behind the muzzle.
Correct.
And so, from what you know about, let me rephrase that question.
Steve Harvey's
In
waiting to get a
In
recross here.
trying to make your determination, did you ever attempt to replicate a self-actuated shot would look like from this distance to this wound?
Yes. I mean, I lay on the ground and held my arm out and tried to show that, yes, this could be done.
How did you have to activate the trigger in order to accomplish that angle at that distance with your own hand?
It's most comfortably and easily done with the thumb, pulling on the trigger.
And this would require you to hold the gun at exactly the angle that would create the wound path that was created.
Correct, to go straight across like that.
Was your arm shaking when you did it?
My arm was not shaking, and if you want me to demonstrate, I'd be happy to.
Not necessary, doctor.
Okay.
I don't think he wants you to, Doctor.
Typically, I guess, let me ask you this. Does your expertise and your scientific examination, are you able to say with certainty that the firearm was in Tori's hand?
No, I can't say with certainty that it was in her hand. That's, again, part of why I have difficulty here. I've got manipulation of the scene. I can't say if she's holding the weapon. It's certainly possible. I can't say if someone else is holding the weapon. Again, possible. If she and a person are holding the firearm together, again, possible. I can't say, hence my calling this undetermined. And in talking about trying to replicate this wound and if we're making the assumption that that's a firearm, where it's winding up, things to keep in mind. There's been some manipulation here. A gun is missing. Blood has been transferred. I don't know if the arm has been moved a little bit. If we make an assumption that based on the evidence, the science, there's something there that has been moved. In doing so, was the arm in any way jostled or moved? I can tell you the main part of the body is not, based on the blood flow. Is there any kind of movement of the arm hand? I don't know. If she does have the firearm in her hand, does it and has the thumb on the trigger, does the firearm in any way get kind of caught on her hand and then falls in that position? Again, knowing that the shot initially, the muzzle to her head is about 10 to 12 inches away. There are a lot of factors given how the elbow might move when the hand drops. There are a lot of things I can't say, and one of them I can't say is whether or not she's holding the firearm at the time it's discharged. Again, because of the fact I know somebody else was there and this scene has been manipulated.
Now, there were questions about a stovepipe, and you speculated about whether or not a stovepipe could have left one.
Speculated, all right.
Do you know with any scientific certainty how those shell casings came to be where they were?
I do not know how they came to be where they are.
Do you know with any certainty if a weapon stovepiped and was cleared on that scene?
That is correct. I do not know if the weapon stovepiped. I do not know if it was clear, if it did stovepipe, if it was cleared. I do not know if it stovepiped and was removed with the stovepipe in place. I do not know.
But essentially what your ruling is, is undetermined and it does not exclude homicide.
That is correct. It does not exclude homicide.
No further questions. Objection, Your Honor, that's not a question, it's a comment.
All right, she is on recross examination. Please proceed.
Wow.
That is correct.
Wow. It's getting fiery. Uncle Phil was like that. Now, Steve-O, boom, 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 boom. What's annoying me is the state that put her up as an expert, qualified her, so her opinion matters. Doesn't matter about science. F science. Right, hang on. He better land the plane. Erin, he didn't land the plane. The more time she says, I do not know. Exactly. I love it. Some moron LMC chat just said, look at him. Looking at the jury. He did it. Seriously? No wonder people get it wrong. Yeah, I mean, this is a thing. This is a stupid thing. That's the stupid thing. I effing love the drama. Science is not absolute, no. And this is why having an expert explaining it with a reasonable, understanding is good. And I think this witness is, I think this witness is fantastic. Wow.
I can't control that. It has to go through a laptop. I have the screen on, but it needs to go through a laptop. What exhibit is this again, for the record? Someone needs to identify the exhibit, please.
It's the same exhibit I displayed, Your Honor.
States 13. Thank you, sir.
When you examined Tori Lang's body, there are no defensive wounds. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
She laid down and faced the sky by all the scientific evidence voluntarily. Is that right?
That is correct.
There's no evidence of any force to put her in the position where she's laying down looking up at the sky. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
So really what we have is a case of suicide versus assisted suicide. Is it fair to characterize it that way?
Well, and I think we need to, if we consider assisted suicide, it's basically homicide, because homicide for me as a medical examiner is death due to the actions of another. And so that is what I'm grappling with. Did someone else assist in pulling the trigger, or did she pull the trigger? And again, I come back to the fact that what gives me difficulty is I've had manipulation of the scene. And I did not have, prior to making my ruling, an adequate explanation of why the scene had been manipulated. So that's what I come back to. And when we consider, as we mentioned, suicide versus assisted or homicide, whether someone else was involved in manipulation of the firearm, and we've talked about this wound path. And I've told you that I can tell you about the relationship of the firearm to her head and the path it makes through the head.
Yes.
Thinking about it, how does this occur? And we've mentioned, again, as you're talking about suicide versus assisted suicide, we have her lying down on the ground and getting a gunshot wound to the head. If I'm going to lie down on the ground and have someone shoot me, why would I put my arms up next to my head? It seems like, given where that wound is, that makes that shot difficult. Someone might shoot my arm instead of my head. So that's troublesome to me. And looking at this wound path through her head, again, relationship of the firearm to her head. If I'm lying on the ground 10 to 12 inches away and trying to have that shot, I can do it with my hand, with my thumb on the trigger. If I have someone else do that, how has that person got to be positioned? I know how the gun's got to be positioned. That seems like it would be very difficult for another person to do. The person's got to lean way over and hold the gun essentially straight, just a few inches above the ground, or lie on the ground. And again, just a few inches above the ground. Again, very difficult. If I'm going to shoot somebody, why do I do that? Why don't I just go over them and shoot? It's very problematic in terms of trying to make sense of this wound path and how it occurred, and the fact that evidence has been moved or tampered with at the scene.
When we say suicide, we mean self-inflicted, correct?
That is correct.
Assisted suicide, in your mind, is a homicide because another person ended up causing the death. Is that right?
That is correct. I think, as I indicated, as a medical examiner, when I rule on manner of death, I'm limited to 5 manners: natural, accident, suicide, homicide, undetermined. For a medical examiner, our definition of homicide is death due to the actions of another.
Happy days.
Suicide
Doctor.
are intentional actions that bring about someone's own death. That's what I'm grappling with here. Yesterday, I was asked about, did I consider accident? For me, if someone points a firearm at themselves or another person and it discharges and kills them, that's not an accident. It's death due to the actions of another or it's self-inflicted. Rarely do I rule firearm-related deaths as being accidental. Occasionally they are, but in general, firearms are designed for one thing, one thing only. And if a firearm is discharged and someone dies, it's usually due to the actions of another or intentionally self-inflicted.
Recognizing we don't know what's missing, if we put the gun, State's Exhibit number 31, into the void, right?
Mhm.
Put it there. Is that how it would face? You show me. You show me. Okay. Now, at this point where the gun is facing like that,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Is that first of all, the muzzle's not facing Tori's head. Is that right?
That's correct. But again, we've got a firearm dropping. Who knows how it's going to land?
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. If Tori was holding it.
Okay. Yes.
Right. So if we just turn the gun slightly so that it is facing her head, is that barrel there 10 inches away from her head?
No.
Okay. What's that barrel distance? Would you estimate that barrel distance from her head?
That looks, knowing that the wound is down from the top of the head about 4 to 5 inches. Let me look at my report, although this is not a very good angle to look at that from. Let's see. Yeah. The entrance wound is 4 5/8 of an inch from the top of the head. So that distance looks like it's probably about 5 or 6 inches away if you point it like that.
So this would be half the distance that science says the gun actually was.
Well, 10 to 12 inches. So it's a little less than, it's a little less than half that range.
I got you. So
Okay.
if this was assisted suicide and
Got you,
someone
got
else
you.
shot Tori, they would have had to shoot Tori from a greater distance and then put the gun there for the blood to coagulate and then remove the gun. Is that right? Is that
Well, right. I was taking issue with the word put, or drop the gun, because the gun's got to fall immediately, because then the blood's flowing immediately. So making it sound like put makes it sound like it was intentionally placed. I don't think that occurred. I think the gun fell and wound up in that position, and then the blood flowed over it.
if it was in Tori's hand
Uh,
or either person?
if correct, if we're assuming that void is created by a gun, right after it's discharged, that gun is dropped. If we're making that assumption that void is caused by that.
That's fine. I want to make that assumption with the gun being pointed at Tori's head.
It's a Discord channel, Wendy, and it's got all the cases. Basically, it's based on every trial you can imagine. It's got all the cases on there, all the documents, everything like that. If you like trials, that's where I get all my information from. So it's worth going there and having a look. JB, look at Twitter.
The person shoots Tori and then intentionally drops the gun or places the gun down. It's either intentional or accidental. Gun leaves the hand and then sits in the blood, right?
Correct, or drops and then the blood flows around it and gets in the blood.
If
Yes,
that's the gun, and then the gun is removed.
correct.
Okay, so it may have been a situation where the person shot, dropped the gun closer to Tori, blood coagulates, and then the person removes the gun. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. But that would have required that the person either lay down on their stomach or side and line up the shot in order to shoot Tori in the head at that distance, correct?
At this point, I think it's argumentative.
It's a leading question on cross-examination, so I will allow it. It is permitted under the rules.
That is a possibility also. Someone could lean way over and, may I demonstrate?
Sure, absolutely. That's why you're here.
I have someone lie down?
Absolutely. Me.
I'm sorry. So
Where?
the feet toward the drapers. So to replicate this, I would have to be down like this, because the gun's got to be
Oh, good.
about like that. So if I'm gonna shoot, I've got to get like this, or I've got to be down on the ground. Like this. Oh, no, that's pretty cumbersome. If I'm gonna shoot somebody.
Or is it possible that the person leans over and shoots in this manner?
That's possible. Because to keep in mind, What I know is about range of fire and the trajectory through the head. And however we place that gun, it's got to maintain that relationship. I don't know how, if there's another person, how that person's body is necessarily configured. But the gun has to have that relationship to the body.
But all of that is done with the purpose of shooting the person that appears to want to be shot based on the physical evidence. Is that right?
That is correct. And I forgot when I had you lying there on the ground to have you raise your arms up to also see the degree of difficulty that also imparts to this shot, because I've got to strike you in the head and not hit your arm.
And does that sort of, that fact, does that cause you to lean more towards suicide? Tori shot herself and then her arm falls?
Yes.
The prosecutor talked about a by chance meeting, like you've met. Yes, I'm done. Thank you very much. The prosecutor talks about a by chance meeting, seeing you just sort of in the hall.
Mhm.
Is that right? You met with him twice at your office.
Correct.
And then you're here at the courthouse on another homicide.
Well, it wasn't another homicide. I was summoned here for a hearing that didn't involve a death and was left sitting outside for several hours on something I never testified on. So I was here at the request of the DA's office and encountered Mr. Norris Lewis as well as you on that same day.
Okay, did I come up to you and start talking about the case?
No, you came up to me and started talking about my vacation that was upcoming.
Okay. And vacations you don't normally take.
That is correct.
Okay, good. What I want to understand is you're here on another matter. Prosecutors just sort of see you in the hall and they start talking about homicides that you've worked on that you're not here to testify about?
Yes, I mean, talk to me about, to let me know that this case was going to be coming up.
Okay, they're not asking you any details then, dude, are they?
Not really. I mean, again, we were talking about this case.
Okay, so they're not asking you detailed questions. In other words, you don't have to walk with like 100 homicides in your head when you come here so that prosecutors can just sort of pick your brain. You don't have to do that, do you?
No, I don't. But
Okay.
some of them I do have some pretty good recall about.
Okay.
I love him as well. I love him as well.
Questions. Thank you very much, Jay.
All right, can you recross?
Dr. Terry, was the blood on Tori's thighs already coagulated when it was deposited?
No, it looked like it was liquid blood because there is some dripping or rundown that comes off of it.
So however that blood got on Tori's left and right thigh, it was in a liquid state when it was deposited there.
It was in a liquid state. Again, going back to the analogy of lava, the blood's going to flow out and flow over whatever object was there that's been moved. That object gets moved, and the blood that has pooled there is going to coagulate. I guess to clarify, it doesn't necessarily mean that the blood was coagulated at the time that the object was moved, but there's been interruption of the blood flow there, and then whatever has left that void has been moved. The blood that is in those areas then coagulates.
And just so we're clear, whatever caused that void, inserting a particular object into it, its positioning and how it came to be there, is that speculation because there is no object that is known to cause that?
It is speculation, but what we have to go on is the physical evidence there and the fact that we have a void there. And because, as I said, the scene has been tampered with. I know somebody else was there. I know a firearm is missing. So it is speculation because there's so many things that have been altered that I don't know about.
No further questions.
No further questions. Thank you, John.
All right, Dr. Terry, thank you. You may step down. You are excused.
Thank you.
Happy days. She's
All right,
great.
does anyone on the jury need a recess? Yes. All right, so we will take our mid-morning recess. Let us be in recess until 10:40.
Right, let's see what they
Leave
got
your
to
notepads
say.
and pens, please.
We're about 4 minutes behind, so I'll zoom it. But we'll see if there is anything in between. Oh, maybe there's not. Wow, I enjoyed that. Oh, there's not. I enjoyed that, people. Wow. Arr, fire. Oh, no, I'm not grabbing what you think I'm grabbing. I'm going raw. Um, my thoughts are, hang on. I'm just seeing if they're coming back. I'm just seeing if they're coming back. I don't think they're coming back. No. Okay, we'll just skip it now then. Right. Hang on. Yeah, my ears. Oh yeah, cheeky me. Thoughts. I if I was like, obviously there's more coming. Heidi, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. It's a last minute thing, but I'm enjoying this. If I was obviously making a decision right now, then there's so much reasonable doubt. I I d I don't think you can say there's anything that there's so much reasonable doubt on this witness, from based on this witness. The most important witness of them all has said it could have been anything. More than likely is they did it to themselves, but don't really know. Oh, Baker's back. I'm enjoying this. Thanks, Alan. No worries. Thank you, Baker. I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm doing busy. She is very, very busy, by the way. So, hi Heidi. Hi Wendy. So, I've got another guest lined up, but they need some time to look pretty, they said. So, I mean, we'll get their opinion as well in a second when they get their ass out of bed. Um, it's 100%. There's so much reasonable doubt. It's not like I haven't seen a case with this amount of reasonable doubt. I don't think I've seen one before. I'm trying to think quickly. I I can't think of it. I can't think of one. I mean, the defendant's an idiot. He panicked and he took the gun, he took the car, he put up in flames. So he deserves the prison time for that. No worry issues. Before the actual alleviation aspect, I'm not sure why there's even a case here because it's not with any. This goes back to the medical examiner wants just justice, wants the right person or situation to be correct. The DA, the state don't care. They just want a notch. They just want a win. That's all they care about. Um, so it's quite like I believe he was found guilty for theft of a car and the gun and stuff, and for lighting up the car. Absolutely deserves what he gets for that. I'm not sure what he got for it, but whatever he got, he probably deserved it. But for everything else, I don't. I there's nothing there. That's my opinion anyway. I'm not sure whatever. I've seen everyone else's thoughts. I think most people don't see any. I think everyone sees reasonable doubt. I think everyone, you know, and I think when Baker was here, he was mentioning about like it just doesn't fit. The narrative doesn't fit with the state they're trying to put out there, and it'd be quite impossible, for him to actually go down and shoot from pew pew was there and says pew pew this person from different angle. The state also annoyed me when they were going, but you've only how many cases have you seen of this kind of like alleviation, like self alleviation? And she goes, oh, a couple. He goes, oh well, but you've done over 10,000. Yeah, mate, it doesn't really matter if she's only even seen one case that's similar to this. Hands up, it doesn't really matter. There's unique stuff that happens all the time. Now, I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard to speak slower as well because I've had information that people don't understand me. So I'm trying to speak a little bit slower as well, but I just got excited there. So I apologize if that was too fast. So I'll dumb it down for you. It's fine. I'll slow it down, I meant, not dumb it down. So yeah, I don't see my guess is that my guess is the defense not gonna put anybody up there. Um, because between the mother, who I do not think was a credible witness, I hate saying that. I hate saying that, but I don't think she was credible. I don't think anyone else, all the officers, they didn't bring anything. And the only person that brought something was a medical examiner. And that was a big mic to go boom. Now, it's interesting because you'd think that they would finish off, most people would finish off with the medical examiner. But I don't think they're going to finish off with the medical examiner. I think they want to put the medical examiner somewhere in the middle just to like hide it and try and for people to forget it. So I think there's more witnesses to come. But yeah, I would my opinion, and my opinion is always right, but my opinion is that there won't be any defense witnesses. I don't if I was a defendant, I would not be taking the stand. I don't believe that he would do any good in taking a stand. I think he would only make it worse, is my opinion. So we'll see. What else of chat think? What else do you guys think? I mean, does anyone disagree with me? I'd love to hear from someone that disagreed and thinks no, he did it because different thoughts are very good, you know. So, but chat's gone quiet now. The chat was going flat out when Baker was here. All you ladies chatting all over, oohing all over Baker. Baker goes and the chat shuts up. Says about me. Nick chat agrees with what we are saying too about that. Fine. And then there's Sal, of course, simping on the lady at the defense table. I mean, she's gorgeous though. Sal's over with Nick, is he? Yeah, I thought Sal had gone quiet. I mean, I don't blame him though. She is. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she? Hang on. Hang on. We got someone. We got a guest here. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. First one taking a virginity on this stream for this stream. Anyway, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's. Everyone's peeing and getting snacks. It's all good, Heidi. But talking about peeing and snacks, we got Jamie in the house.
Hey,
How we doing, Jamie?
good.
Yeah. So you are the expert on this. Well,
Well,
Erin's the expert. I'd say that you're second in command on this trial. What's your thoughts on it?
so I watched the first trial, but it was hard to find when it came out. So obviously I got the medical examiner, the mom, and everything like that. So, but the mom to me was very uncredible because she changed, like, I don't know if anybody noticed, but like the first time she testified, the whole hospital situation, she was like, oh yeah, she was there, blah, blah, blah. But then now it's, oh, she just had a stomach ache. It wasn't anything. But then how do you know that now, but you didn't know that then? All of a sudden? I don't know.
On that point, it's interesting because obviously I got mothers in my chat here, loads of milfs and loads of gilfs, and they said exactly that if that's your child, you
You would,
100% know, or you tear it out with them. So I totally agree with you.
yeah.
And
It
what else
just feels
do
like
the
she
medical
was
examiner
so hard trying to push that her daughter did not
narrative?
do this. Her daughter didn't
Yeah.
self-delete, and it had to have been this person. Because if you notice too, she kind of tried to downplay like their friendship. They were best friends, and now they're friends. And it's like that kind of stuff bothered me.
Yeah, and it's they're best friends. He comes around all the time, but then we find out that he only goes around there when they're not there.
Yeah.
So it's like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, it's not in the middle of Rona,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because she's out and about all the time." Well, no, she just made a mess of it. I think. I hope the jury saw that though.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, I wish she would have. I mean, I guess I don't really know like their strategy or whatever, but I was wondering why he wasn't kind of pinning her down on some of their statements before and now,
Yeah. Yay,
Especially
Jamie.
Hi guys.
Where have I seen you before? Heidi, if I'm being honest, probably Pornhub. I imagine Jamie, you've seen her on there before. Either there or on MLS's, probably, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So one of the two. And Young is here.
I've been on Sal, Baker, MLS. Those are kind of where I,
Where you go to.
where I hang out.
Yeah.
Sometimes-
and she came on here. She has been. We mean to get Jamie on before, but if I'm being completely honest with you, Jamie's never here anymore. So she's always on the stream. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to get Jamie on here. So like that's why Jamie's not been. If Jamie was here, for instance, I would definitely have had her on stream way before now. But every time I'm like, Jamie's never in chat. She's never here, and it's because she's either with M&S, with Baker, with Sat. So she's busy doing other streams. So
I feel bad. Sorry.
yeah.
I try
No,
to
don't be
hop
sorry.
around. Well, when you
Yeah.
started streaming less, because usually I could stream with those people and then you'd still be on, so I'd be like, okay, cool. But now you're like doing a normal schedule, so it's like you're always done when I'm done.
Yeah, I've tried to cut it down a little bit on it, but yeah, no, I understand. I appreciate it, and it's like I know you try to support everybody. So, but anytime you're free, you're more than welcome always to come on stream. It's just, yeah, I never see you anymore. You know. There we are. Erin agrees with me.
Yes, my OnlyFans page.
MLS, that's it.
Everybody
Yes.
subscribe to the OnlyFans, you know.
Yes. Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, Heidi's lovely as well. So
Yeah, I've seen her.
Heidi
These
sometimes comes
names are
on.
so familiar.
Yeah, she comes on sometimes as well in the stream. In between working.
Yeah, I
Let's
know.
see last one.
I'm glad you picked this up though.
Well, I picked it up by accident because thanks to you, because you sent me that link.
Oh, okay.
When I read it, I was like, "Oh, look at her, she's a beauty." But then I was like, "Oh, I'll do this," because no one else was doing it, and all of a sudden I saw Nick was doing it, but I'd set it up by then, so it's too late.
Both sides ready?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh well.
Yes, Your Honor.
we love her, Jamie.
Sorry, Judge. I guess I'm ready. I don't know what you said.
I love you guys too.
All right, let's bring in the jury, please.
I
So,
mean,
yeah, Sal's probably
guy
over
did
there.
a lot of shady stuff for sure,
Yeah, I agree.
but you know,
I don't think he deserves a guilty verdict on what is based on. I don't think it's there. I don't think there's enough there. But hey, we've seen people go to prison for a lot less, you know. So, you know, and with that, I'll plug it. I've got Solomon on the 18th,
All right,
guys.
have the state
on the
call
18th of
its
this month.
next
So
witness, please.
please come along. It's going to be 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, because he has a lot of work to do, and also just time zones for me and him for 6 hours between us. So, yeah, thanks for that.
of course, our crazy time zones.
Here we go. Jamie's the bestie. But watch out. Don't get her a bad side.
Oh my
I
God,
know.
Jelly.
I know.
All right, if you could watch your step coming around for me, please.
But that ME showed more reasonable
When you get
doubt
seated,
than
if
I
you will
could ever hear
position
in my life.
yourself in front of the microphone.
No,
right
I
in front of
agree with you. I agree with you. She was a fantastic, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Right here, please. You swear or affirm that the testimony that you give in this matter now pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
I'm Mary Boone Perkins.
Ms. Perkins, where did you live in July of 2021?
Let's see
In
you then.
Alexander Stonecrest Apartments.
Here we are.
What apartment number, if you remember?
She's old. We
1302.
know that.
Oh, is this the Ring camera?
Do you see any of your neighbors or former neighbors in the courtroom?
I bet.
Yes.
Well done.
Can you identify who you see?
I see we share my neighbor. His mother. His mother.
Can you describe what that person's wearing and who he is?
He's the gentleman with the beige jacket on.
Okay. Was he your neighbor in July of 2021?
Yes.
When you lived in that apartment, did you have a Ring video camera?
Yes.
Were you ever called by police about that camera?
Yes.
What did they ask you, if you recall?
They asked me, did do my ringer record?
Did it?
And yeah,
Did they ask you about a specific time frame?
yes,
Did you have any recordings within the time frame that they asked?
yes,
Did you provide them to,
Yes.
to the officers?
yes, sir.
Before you provided them to the officers, did you alter them in any way?
Got it. Fee.
Did you change the date stamp, the time stamp, or anything like that?
No.
Did you know specifically why they wanted the video?
They told me they found a young lady in Gwinnett County Park that was murdered. And they just doing the timeline.
And was that all they told you?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 61. What is State's Exhibit 61?
And subscribe to
so-
Baker as well, please. He's at the top
USB.
link if you haven't done
Have you
so.
seen it before?
Yes.
Think everyone-
How do you know you've seen this USB before?
I just looked at it.
Are you doing the Baker one? Quite
The trial.
no.
with her?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Black Widower trial.
cool. So just let me know when you need to leave for it. That's all. Do you know what I mean? Give me a nudge. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Did you initial
Yes.
the label on that?
Yes.
And that's because you've seen the contents of this USB.
Yes.
Does it contain the ring camera videos that you provided to law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
How many of them are there?
4.
Your Honor, the state is going to tender State 61, and the videos, they're on a 61A, B, C, and D.
May I just ask one question?
Sure.
Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
The recordings that you downloaded for the police, they had two questions, Judge. They had a time on them, is that right? That they
Yes,
were
sir.
recorded. Do you know if that time is accurate? An hour ahead, an hour behind, do you know?
They were on time.
Thank you very much. No further questions, no objection, Judge.
All right, then 61, A, B, C, and D are admitted without objection.
Your Honor, I do intend to
Think
publish,
so.
and there is sound.
There is
Amy,
sound.
did they?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. let me
They
give them
started
the-
yesterday, so
Presume so.
hopefully they're done.
Does either side think the limiting instruction would apply to this footage? I don't think
I
so.
don't believe it, Your Honor.
Okay, I will not. You may go ahead and publish. And I'm sorry, is this
Publishing
A?
61A. Ms. Boone Perkins, this is the video you saw and recorded?
Yes.
Pausing it at the 13-second mark. Is the door that the figure in the video is knocking on, does that door belong to the defendant?
Yes.
Is this
Now
B?
61B.
You could just announce before you play it.
Okay. Come on.
Now publishing 61C.
I hear it. Wait, what the fuck are we? Oh, no swearing. No swearing.
Lastly, 61D. And are those the videos you provided to law enforcement?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have, Ms. Perkins.
Cross-examination?
Ms. Perkins, good morning again.
Good morning.
Al, you're cheating on everybody.
Well, nobody's
You
streaming.
got every woman. He's like cheating. He wants every woman in every courthouse.
Clarify something. When the
That's
police
my
first
boy.
came to you,
He's
did they
a
indicate
good
to
time.
you that they were doing a homicide investigation, or did they tell you that somebody had been murdered? Do you recall?
They was doing a homicide investigation.
Okay, and I understand sometimes the public sort of mashes those two
Right,
things together.
right.
They hadn't determined
Baby's
that
cute.
anybody had been murdered.
No.
But they were homicide
Yes,
investigators. Okay,
yes.
I just want to make sure.
They
Thank
was
you very
homicide
much.
investigators.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Redirect?
What?
None, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Boone
Uh-oh.
Perkins, watch your step coming down, and you are excused.
So there's nothing on today.
All right, call your next witness, please.
The state calls Carissa Aparicio.
I didn't think it was gonna take, like, I mean, it's a big case. I figured it would take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's obviously going to now. So
After you swear her, would you please have her spell her first and last name for me, please?
it's.
Good morning, ma'am. Watch your step as you step up. And if you will be seated
You know, you're more than welcome to
comfortably
come
in the
back on if you
chair
want to.
directly
Yeah,
in front
Baker,
of the
if you want.
microphone, please.
No, but
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this court and this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name, please.
My name is Carissa Aparicio. That is spelled Carissa. Last name is spelled Aparicio, Aparicio.
And Ms. Aparicio, where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the Division of Forensic Sciences, where I am a forensic biologist.
And how long have you been employed with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations?
About 2 years.
And have you been a forensic biologist those 2 years?
Baker, come back on if you want, buddy. You're more than welcome to come back on, or join me this afternoon if you want, Baker. Let me know. I can send you a link. I guess we've got Jamie for a lot longer today then.
Yeah, I'll hang out.
Yeah, if you want to. You don't have to. Do you know what I mean?
I'm watching it
Yeah.
anyway, so.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're more than welcome to.
Yes, I have been.
Okay. And what is a forensic biologist?
My job is to obtain evidence items from law enforcement agencies, which I take through the forensic DNA testing process.
Okay, and as a forensic biologist, can you just tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day basic duties and responsibilities?
So once evidence is submitted to the lab for testing, I would retrieve that evidence item for testing and take it through the DNA testing process. This involves the extraction of the DNA from that item. Following that, I determine how much DNA is present in that item. I make many, many copies of specific regions of the DNA, and then I, at the end, would obtain a DNA profile that I would use to compare to a known reference profile that would be able to then allow me to testify to the facts of that case.
And is there education or specific training that you had to receive in order to do your job?
Yes, so I have a Bachelor of Science in Biology that I obtained from Georgia State University. Following that, I obtained a Master's of Science in Forensic Science from Marshall University. And I also went through an extensive year-long training at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation that qualifies me to be a forensic DNA analyst.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would like to tender Ms. Aparicio as an expert in forensic biology.
No objection, Judge.
All right, she will.
That item throughout our laboratory. And following that, it is placed into the appropriate section for testing, upon which I would retrieve that item and take it through our forensic testing process.
And is that evidence tracked with a specific number within the crime lab?
Yes, it is. That is the unique barcode that is attached to it.
Okay. And is there also an agency case number that's
Yes.
included in the evidence?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Are you familiar with the case number 2022-1010331?
Yes,
And
that
what is
is.
that case number?
That is the unique Division of Forensic Sciences number for this particular case.
Okay. And did you receive any samples under that case number?
Yes, I did.
And what, if anything, did you receive?
I received the thigh swabs as well as the bloodstain card for Tori Lang in that case.
I'm sorry, the thigh swab, and what was the second thing?
The bloodstain card for Tori Lang.
And once you received those items, what, if anything, did you do with them?
I took it through the forensic DNA testing process.
Okay. And you testified just a moment ago about a known sample.
That is correct.
Did you receive a known sample with this case number?
Yes, I did.
And where did you obtain that known sample from?
That was submitted to us by the agency.
Okay. And was that submitted along with the unknown sample?
Correct.
Okay. And when you received the sample, did it appear to be tampered with or damaged in any way?
No.
And can you tell us what test you used to compare the known and the unknown DNA sample?
The sample was taken through the DNA testing process, which it involves polymerase chain reaction, so PCR.
Okay. And based on that testing that you completed, were you able to form an expert opinion as to the match between, or a match between the known and the unknown DNA samples?
Yes, I was able to.
And did you record that opinion in writing?
Yes, I did.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm showing you
Let's
what
see what
has
this
been
does.
marked as State's Exhibit 62. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is my signed and dated report that I generated with the results of this case.
Okay. And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of the report you created?
Yes, it bears my signature and the case number and the date that I did this report.
And does it appear to be altered in any way?
No, it does not.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state moves to tender State's Exhibit 62 for record purposes only.
No objection, Judge.
Right, it will be admitted for record only without objection.
And what expert opinion did you form as a result of your testing of these DNA samples?
The DNA obtained from the thigh swabs that I tested contains the DNA profile of at least one individual. The DNA profile that I obtained matches the profile of Tori Lang at 9 locations and contains one of 2 alleles at 6 locations observed in the profile of Tori Lang.
Okay. And just so we can understand, are you indicating that the DNA sample you tested was that of Tori Lang's?
Yes, that is correct. It matched.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
No questions. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Aparicio. You can take your belongings.
I know we got to
Get your
do it,
stuff
but
coming
come
down,
on.
and you are excused.
Couldn't they just stipulated this and gone,
Your
right,
next
the only
witness,
DNA on
please.
this Tori Lang.
The state calls Denise Carter.
Sherry, go. No, I won't say it. I'm not going to swear. I've done well. I've only sworn once today. And I'll get you instant coffee. I make notes sometimes, but I've
Mr.
actually got a good
Bloomberg,
memory.
Do you know anything about the grand jury? I haven't heard anything for today.
Joe Mazzola is
Yeah.
filling in for me there. I can go over.
100%.
Nope, that's fine. Thank you.
Just stipulate
Good
to all
morning.
that crap.
I think, Mr. Wooten, can you please take her bag? We'll need her bag to sit back there.
Okay,
You need to remove a report or something.
I got it.
All right, and you can just sit it on the bench.
Thank you so much.
All right, if you will be seated comfortably in the chair and position yourself in front of the microphones, please.
JB back. Just going to get some food and some drink. So
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that the testimony you give before this court and these
Sorry, I was still
proceedings
listening in the
will be the
background.
truth
I'm
and nothing but
cooking.
the truth shall help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Do.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Oh, good.
My name is Denise Nicole Carter. I
That's good.
am a forensic toxicologist with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Division of Forensic Sciences.
And Ms. Carter, as a forensic toxicologist, what are some of your day-to-day duties and
Here
responsibilities?
you go, Jamie.
I test biological samples such as blood and urine for the presence and or absence of drugs, alcohols, and poisons.
What's your channel gonna be about then?
No, I don't know. I don't have the time. Like,
Yeah, I was
to
gonna say, Jesus.
do my own stuff.
Um, I agree with Baker. He says, "Don't start a channel, Jamie. You are what makes my channel great."
Well, I prefer to just come hang out with people because then I don't have any like responsibility.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
You know
It's
what I mean?
nice to just jump around.
Well, yeah, it's nice to be like, hey, okay, I'll see you later, and then go over to somebody else and hang out. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I also analyze samples, collect data, and use this data to write my reports, which are disseminated to the citizens and to the judicial community in the state of Georgia.
And is there any education or training that allows you or requires that you're required in order to perform these duties?
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry from Georgia Southern University. I have also taken some Master of Science courses as well from Georgia State University. Um, Upon my hire at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, I successfully completed the in-house alcohol and drug training program, which included learning the pharmacology and pharmacodynamics of drugs, basically what are drugs and how do they work in the body. Learn about the different methods and instrumentation for isolating particular drugs of interest that we may be looking for. And upon completion of my training, I took a proficiency test, which is basically a blind sample that I don't know what may or may not be in it. And given my results, I passed. And I take this test every year, and I passed for the past 21 years.
And have you ever testified as a forensic expert in forensic
Yeah,
toxicology?
we'll take her in.
Yes.
It's fine.
And how many times?
Numerous times,
Oh.
at least 100.
Yeah, cool.
Your
You're
Honor,
in.
at this time,
Thank
the state
you.
would like to tender
Thank
Ms.
you.
Carter as an
Yeah.
expert in the field of forensic toxicology.
No objection.
It's a waste of time.
She will be so tendered without
Me and Baker
objection.
spoke about this earlier. It's a waste of time.
And Ms. Carter, can you describe to
is.
the jury how biological evidence comes into the GBI crime lab?
Yes, no problem. Biological evidence is received at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in numerous ways. It can be mailed, and we receive it by the United States Postal Service. And once it reaches our mailroom, it is taken to our evidence receiving area for entry into our system. Or it can be exchanged hand to hand, where the collector physically brings it in and gives it to one of our evidence receiving technicians to be entered into our system. Or it can be received via the lockbox method. And usually that is when a person brings in the evidence that's collected, and they place it into a locker about the size of a high school locker. Once they close that door locks on one side, and there's a door on the back side that's open in our evidence receiving area. And one of our technicians will receive it and enter the evidence into our system.
And once they receive that evidence and enter it into the system, do they then transport that to you?
Yes.
Okay. And how is the evidence tracked in the crime lab to identify where it came from and where it needs to go?
Once it's entered into our laboratory information management system, which I will call LIMS for short for the rest of our testimony, it is assigned a unique case number and barcode. And the barcode is used to track the evidence throughout its life in our laboratory.
Okay. And I'm going to refer you to case number 2021-102-6203. Are you familiar with that case number?
Yes.
And what is that case number?
The case number is for the case individual Tori Lang.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you receive under that case number?
We received 3 tubes containing heart blood, one bottle containing urine, and one tube containing vitreous fluid. Vitreous fluid is the fluid that's in your eyeball.
And when you receive those
So good.
samples, does there appear to be any tampering with those samples?
No.
And what tests, if any, did you run on those samples?
On these samples, we did what is called a liquid chromatography mass spectrometry, which I'll just call LC-MS for short. We did a screen for certain drugs, prescription drugs and non-prescription drugs, to see if anything may or may not be in the sample. And then once we do the screen test, if there are any drugs of interest that may be in the sample, we do confirmation testing to confirm if the amount is enough to report.
And based on that testing, were you able to form an expert opinion as to the presence of anything that you tested for?
Yes.
And what was that opinion, or what is that opinion?
This sample, which we tested the heart blood, was negative for cocaine and cocaine metabolites and positive for phentermine at 0.24 milligrams per liter, plus or minus 0.06 milligrams per liter.
And what is phentermine?
Phentermine is a drug commonly used for weight loss.
Is there another name for phentermine, a more commonly known name for phentermine?
I can't think of it at the moment.
Iris, please skip. Absolute, complete waste of time. Everything so far has been complete waste of time. Skip to the present day.
To your knowledge, does
That
I'm skipping it
stimulates
on.
or speeds up your bodily systems.
and did you find any
2x.
indication that would cause you to run any additional tests for any additional substances?
No.
And did you reduce your expert opinion to writing?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Shana?
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 63. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And
I
what is
agree,
that?
Paige. I agree.
It's a copy of my official report.
Okay. Does this appear to be a true and accurate copy of your report?
Yes.
And does it appear to be altered in any way?
No.
Your Honor, the state would move to tender State's Exhibit 63 for record purposes only.
No objection, Judge.
All right, it will be so tendered for record purposes only.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
What are they
Right,
doing?
thank you.
Come on.
Cross-examination?
Wasting the time.
Ms. Carter, good morning.
Good morning.
Phentermine, is that it?
Yes, phentermine.
That's it, phentermine. That's a controlled substance, is it not?
Yes, prescribed by doctors.
Okay, has to be prescribed by a physician. And in terms of the amount that you found in Tori Lang's body, is that a normal amount, low amount, high amount? Do you know?
Well, the high end of the therapeutic range for this drug is at 0.1. The toxic range for this drug is at 0.9. So this result at 0.24 is a little higher than the therapeutic range.
And when we start talking about the drug being used in a way that is unanticipated by the physician, do you know what the I'm gonna call it side effects are if you use too much of it?
If you use too much of the drug, like I said, there will be changes in mood and behavior. You might have issues with chest pains or heart issues, things like that.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carter. You can take your items with you and step down. Please
Waste
watch
of
your step.
time.
Yeah.
And don't forget your bag on the way out. You
Right, muted for a bit. A lot more people here now. Paige is all caught up, everything. Yeah, it's just complete waste of time. I just don't know what's going on. I understand it. I do get it. I understand they have to do it. I get it. But sometimes I just think, can't you just have a document where both sides agree and just go, right, we proffer that this is correct. Yeah, this witness had, yeah, all good. Thank you, judge. And let the jury get it.
I
Because at
know.
the minute, it's a bit like, oh,
Especially just their like credentials. Like get through it and then just tell us
Yeah,
what,
get through it.
and then tell us what the evidence is.
Yeah. So seek, yeah. Right, who's this guy now?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter now pending before the
Oh.
court should be the truth, the whole truth,
Shit.
nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Tie.
Please
It's like
introduce yourself to the
Tintin.
jury.
You're
Sergeant
Tintin
David
Smith.
Smith
How are you employed?
with
This
the
is
Gwinnett
little
County Police
Spike.
Department.
Are you a
Yeah,
certified law
Tintin.
enforcement officer?
I am
What's your current
What
assignment?
Tintin's got?
the behavioral health
He
unit.
spike his hair like
And
this in
are you
front.
now a sergeant?
Yes.
I am.
So Sergeant Smith, how were you assigned in July of 2021?
I was a corporal in the homicide assault unit.
And were you assigned, I guess, what were your basic duties as the corporal, as a corporal in the homicide and assault unit?
To investigate cases involving batteries, assault, ag batteries, and homicides.
And what does investigating a homicide entail?
Going out to the scene, looking at the victims, attending the autopsy, talking to witnesses, looking for surveillance footage, anything that we can find to help us assist in determining who committed the crime.
In or on or about July 28th, 2021, were you assigned to investigate the death of Tori Lang?
I was.
Tell the jury how that investigation started from your standpoint.
I received a call that morning. I was up to take the next case as the lead investigator. So I received that call on July 28th around 7 a.m. I was notified that the body of the victim was located in Yellow River Park. So I got ready and made my way to the park to go to the scene.
What did you see, observe, and find at the scene?
When I got to the scene, I located the victim.
This is quite funny. Investigate batteries. Can you tell me between Duracell and Energizer? Well, you got the bunnies, the Duracell bunnies, and the
Bunny.
Energizer. I don't know. I always go with the bunnies. Sean, welcome. First time viewer. Thank you for being here. That is funny. I like that sense of humor. Love it.
He's something.
Before this case. Ooh, it's a common drug. Does anyone know? Yeah, I think it's fentanyl's quite common drug, isn't it?
It's
Victim's body. It was just off of the parking
Common,
lot,
isn't
off
it?
the footpath
Did
under
they-
a large tree at the front of the park.
I think it's a weight loss drug.
And what were
It is,
your
yeah.
next steps? Like, how did your investigation proceed after you went to the scene?
I
heard it
searched
right.
the scene. We looked for anything that we could relate back to the victim, trying to identify the victim. We didn't find any identification, cell phones, vehicles. Located 2 shell casings not far from the victim's body. Obviously at that point we contacted the medical examiner's office, and then I began trying to locate any witnesses or surveillance footage and attempting to identify the victim.
How did you go about attempting to identify the victim? Because is that important? Well, how'd you go about it? This the other direction. Is the identity of the victim important?
Extremely important.
Why?
The victimology is very important in our investigations. It tells us everything about the victim, ultimately how they may have gotten there, who they associate with, their past, even their future in some cases.
So how did you attempt to go about identifying who the person, Tori Lang, who at that point was unidentified?
The victim had 2 distinctive tattoos that we were able to locate on the body. We took photographs of those and released them to the news, asking for any tips or help to try to identify her.
And did you receive any tips or help in finding her identity?
We did. The family, the victim's mother, reached out to the police department.
And I guess on what day was the young lady who you knew to be deceased identified as Tori Lang?
That would have been the next day on the 29th of July.
And did you personally go notify her parents of what had happened to her?
I did.
Whom did you speak to?
I spoke to the victim's mother, Teresa Lang.
Just to Teresa Lang?
I believe her husband was there as well.
I guess, how did that conversation go?
Understandably, Miss Lang was upset. I explained how we found the victim and what we were looking at, and asking for any history or anybody that she could have believed would be involved.
Did she provide you any information about Tori or about her friends?
She did. She provided me two names. One was the defendant, and another was Marquesa Brown, that she said were very close friends, that I should speak with.
Did she give you?
You know
did
Sean, then?
Mhm.
Search
Yeah.
Tori's
Oh, you do?
room, find
You know all the guys, don't
her
you?
car,
He's
anything like
he's
that?
from
At that time, we had not located the vehicle.
He's from what?
I said he's from MLS and Baker and
Ah, okay, cool. Well, welcome, Sean. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to be here. Appreciate you, my man.
Ms. Lang stated that her weapon was missing, which was a SIG 9mm. When we did go up to the victim's room, we located some letters that the victim had written, more like prayers to God from herself.
To show you what's marked as State Exhibit 65.
Are you skipping 64 on purpose?
I just haven't gotten to 64 yet. It'll
Okay,
be introduced
I'm
in
just
different-
making sure that you were aware of that.
I am. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 65?
I do.
What's State's Exhibit 65?
These are copies of the letters that I located in the victim's bedroom.
Feel free to flip through, make sure it's accurate. Are those true and accurate copies of the letters that you collected from Tori's bedroom?
Okay, you
They
still
are.
got a link.
Has anything been
You
added
can
to
still
the
pop
taken
on,
away from them?
Baker.
No.
I can
Your Honor,
accommodate
say we
more than
tender
two
State's
people.
Exhibit 65.
No objection to that, Judge.
65 is admitted without objection.
Did you get
That
any other
Iris.
specific information
Dirty mother.
about Tori that related to what may have happened to her from her mother?
When speaking to the mother, she had stated that she didn't have a cell phone, that they had turned it off. They were switching carriers. She explained that in the past she had suicidal thoughts, and again suggested those friends. She stated that she thought maybe the neighbors had a camera that could have caught something as well.
Where did your investigation continue from? But hold on, let me stop. You said she may have had suicidal thoughts in the past.
Correct.
Did you discuss how recent those thoughts had been with
Lead
I
investigator.
don't believe I asked a specific date or time. It was maybe sometime in the past.
He's a lead investigator, Iris. His name's Tintin, and yeah, he was on scene of the crime at 7 o'clock in the morning. He got the phone call, and he took the lead on it.
what's
So
his name?
Tintin,
Tintin.
yeah,
I like the way you
that's
say
why I
it.
call him Tintin. That's why I call him Tintin, though.
After looking at the letters, it seemed she had been going through a rough time earlier that year.
No worries, Baker.
and are the letters dated April 30th, May 1st, June 1st? Are those
Yes.
the dates on the letters that you collected?
Correct.
Did any of these letters mention thoughts of harming herself or asking someone else to harm her?
They did not.
These are all the
So
letters
after
from the mother.
after these
Imagine, isn't
discussions,
it?
what did you do next?
This is her journal.
I then went back to the
I
office
think so.
and I contacted the defendant and Marquesa Brown.
I want to concentrate on the conversation you had with the defendant. Did you call using the number that Tori Lang gave you?
Yes.
Did the person on the other end of the phone identify himself as Austin Ford?
He did.
And was it a phone conversation?
It was.
At that point, had you actually met Austin Ford?
No.
What was the substance of your conversation with Austin Ford?
I was asking how well they were associated, if he had seen her recently, anything that she may have talked about leading up to that. Also, if he knew what happened.
Did he tell you that he knew what happened?
He did.
He told you he knew what happened.
I believe he was aware of what happened when I spoke to him.
I guess let me ask that question a different way. Did he know about her death?
Yes.
Did he tell you how her death had happened?
No.
Did he tell you that he had been present when she was shot?
No.
Did he tell you that he took a firearm from Yellow River Park, July 27th, 2021?
No.
Did he tell you that he drove away from Yellow River Park in Tori's car on July 27th, 2021?
No.
Did he tell you where he disposed of a firearm that he removed from Yellow River Park in 2021?
No.
Did he tell you where he disposed of Tori's car on the night of or after July 27th, 2021?
No.
Did you record your conversation with the defendant?
No. Yes. Sorry, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
To show you what you used to record it.
We have a device that we place on our desk phones that records the conversation.
Now, is it a particular device that plays everything at the same volume, or is sometimes
Conversation purportedly between Detective Smith and the defendant. As you hear the audio recording, you may hear the officer make certain statements to the defendant. I caution you that the declarations or statements of the officers are not evidence, and you should not consider such statements as evidence unless they are proven to you by other competent evidence. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go, people.
No.
The judges. Oh, wait a minute.
Sorry about it. We have a few minutes you can talk to me. Hey, Austin, this is Corporal Smith with Gwinnett County.
Oh, come on.
Good, I'm good. Hey, sorry about it. We have a few minutes you can talk to me. Answer some questions. Yes, ma'am, sir. Okay. Obviously, I've been talking to the family and some other friends and stuff like that, and my goal in this whole investigation is to get answers to her family here. And you guys are her family, and everybody's pretty upset. I just want to piece together what happened. So, her mom said you last saw her at that Tuesday night. Is that you sure that's the last time you saw her? Yes, sir. And what did she say when she said that? She had my wallet. She was trying to make me kill her for my money, and I told her I couldn't do it. Like, I can't do that. Like she wanted to hold your wallet until you kill her?
Now, the defendant or the person on the end of the phone who is identified as defendant said that what were you talking about at this point?
I was asking him when the last time that he saw her was.
And what time did he say that he last saw her?
He said he saw her the night before.
And then he said something about his wallet?
Correct. He said the victim had his wallet and she was bringing it back to return the wallet to him.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
She was fed up. I was trying to talk to her, calm her down about like life and stuff, and she wasn't trying to talk about it. I was trying to calm her down, but she just like, no, I'm not giving you water. Until you to get killed. I'm not doing that. And she's like, I'm just gonna find somebody. No. Did she ever tell you she had a way for you to kill her or anything? Yes, she had the gun in her car, but I didn't. She just said, I need you to kill me. She didn't say shoot her or anything, but I seen the gun in the car. So you came after the car? Yes. And it was just her in the car? We were outside the car. We was like out on Pontex, and we were just standing right there. And she was like, I'm not going to do well until you don't kill me, whatever. And I was telling her, no, I was fighting. I was trying to grab her and hug her. I was trying to hug her. And she wouldn't let me get closer. And she wouldn't. She's like, no, I'm just going to find somebody else. I'm just going to find somebody else. What's your money? I said, fine, I don't need that money. Like, whatever. But, like, I'm not doing it. You need to calm down. Like, relax. And she was like, no.
So he said that there was.
Today's Wednesday.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and the audio, of course, will reflect what was actually said. But it sounded like the defendant was talking about a conversation between himself and
So
Tori,
true, though, isn't it?
where
It
she
is.
had
So
supposedly
true.
asked him to kill her and was
Is the
holding
right order?
his wallet
Don't know. Yeah,
hostage in
probably.
order to coerce him into that.
Correct. So she was telling him that she was having suicidal thoughts and she wanted him to do it. He was refusing to do it. And so she wanted to use the money that she knew he had in his wallet to pay someone else to do it.
And were you asking him whether or not she had a gun?
I did ask if he saw a weapon, and he told me that he saw a weapon sitting in the car because they were standing outside of the car having the conversation.
Did she tell you where she got the gun?
I'm gonna stop again. Did he say when this conversation took place?
Yes, that was the night before, so it would have been on the 27th.
And did he say where this conversation took place?
It was at his apartment complex outside.
Yeah, how long?
Listen, Arthur, you're not even telling me. I
And the-
can't know as much truth as I can get. We're just trying to find out how this happened. So, where did she say she was going to go when she left?
She didn't tell me. I kept asking her. She didn't tell me. She didn't tell me where she was going. She just left.
Well, she didn't have her phone, obviously, right? So,
I was calling her.
where else would she know to go?
And then understanding what's hard to hear, the hardest to hear on this
Yeah.
recording is your questions. The defendant responded that she didn't tell him where she was going. What was that answer in response to?
I asked him if he knew where she was going when she left, and he said he didn't know, that she didn't tell him, that he tried to call her, but obviously she didn't have her phone.
Did he tell you that she left the apartment complex without him?
It was my understanding that she left without him. I don't know if he said that specifically.
Who else could she go to ask if she would know how to just drive there without calling her?
Not calling her.
What is your gut feeling? Just be honest. What is your gut feeling? Do you think her boyfriend Scoot would have done this? I don't know if she was
Aw.
his girlfriend, if he would have been willing to, or do you
Thank you.
he would for money?
Nice.
For money, yeah, I think for money, definitely, yeah. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like just to go to, like, I know she wouldn't just drive to his house because he don't just be at the house.
Is that the house?
So he's discussing a house she may have driven to. Whom was the query about?
The victim's boyfriend, Jaron Thompson, or Scoop is what they called him. And I asked her if he would have went to his house.
And what was the defendant's response?
He stated that he didn't believe she would go over there because he doesn't really stay in any one place.
Yeah, I know. He had multiple places to do that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she just drive right to his house. Yeah. I was thinking, I don't know anybody else. I contacted her friends, like, throughout the day. Like, I was contacting her friends and stuff, like, to see where she was at. And nobody knew where she was at, so I contacted.
Erin, 18th of August. The reason I know remember is because I've got Solomon that same time. So I think it's 9 or 10 o'clock, I believe, on the 18th. So what I'll do is I'll do Solomon and then I'll stream it afterwards, Erin.
Contact everybody that I think that she'll go to. And nobody said anything. Nobody, like, didn't know where she was at.
Okay. And your girlfriend was there in the house when this happened?
That's so true.
You said she was just kind of acting crazy then. So how much money did she take from you?
18th of August.
340, about like 350.
And she didn't say anywhere where she was going to go, who she was in contact. I mean, we're just trying to figure out where she was going to be.
I'm telling you, she just knew. She just, I'm going to get somebody else. I'm getting somebody else to do it. I'm getting somebody else. All right, I'm not doing it. And I didn't think she would do it. Like, I didn't think anybody in their right mind would do that.
People do those things for money, questions, but what do you think? Obviously, you know, happened in Yellow River Park. Do you know anybody that she could drive to that lives in that area? Like, who does she know that she could just drive to their house close down?
I don't know nobody else, and I don't know why the Yellow River.
Have you ever been there with her?
I've been there with multiple friends, her, my other friends. We've been there. Yeah, we go there. Yeah.
Okay. And I talked to Marquesa. Do you talk to her at all? You think with her?
Yes.
Okay. They mentioned her boyfriend. Do you know anything about him?
I know he do a Woodburn. His name's Scoop. One time Tori told me his real name, but she said, I don't know, that was his real name, Javon, or something like that. But
Now, the defendant specifically named Scoop without knowing his, for lack of a better phrase, his given, or his government name or his given name. Why did you bring that guy up?
I'm going to object. Speculation. We can't know.
I'll rephrase the question. In response to what query that you asked, was that answer elicited?
I believe I asked him if he knew of anybody else that would help her or where she could go to have someone assist her.
And that's after had he already mentioned Scoop at this point?
I believe she'd mentioned the boyfriend, but he hadn't called him by name yet.
Okay, so he
Scoop of ice
mentioned
cream
the
is all I
boyfriend as
heard.
being a place where she might have gone or someplace. Come here. You asked where she might have gone. He mentioned the boyfriend.
Correct.
And now he's bringing him up in relationship to who might hurt her or want to hurt her?
Correct. Who might assist her with what she was asking him to do.
I know he's on Woodburn and Covington or somewhere. I don't know exactly his story. I've been to his house one time, but that was at night, and I don't know like exactly where it was. I just know he was going far.
What about Mark Page's boyfriend? Do you know him?
I don't know him. I've seen him. I never talked to him. I've never even been in the car. I've seen him before. I don't know him.
Okay. Well, if you have something you can write with, can I put it in your phone? Let me give you my direct number because I'd like, if you find out anything else, I'd like to know.
Yes, sir. You put on my phone. You take it to myself. Okay, what is it?
770 513
513
5794.
579. You said 579.
94.
What's your name again?
Corporal Smith, SMIC. Yeah, if you find out something like this, we just want to find out who you know that mom would have done this, obviously. But if somebody, see, obviously, I think that makes the most sense, but I think she obviously found somebody who is willing to do it. So we just need to find out who that is and what her part was.
At this point, did you give the defendant your phone number?
I did.
Why would you do that?
I asked him to contact me if he talked to anyone or found out any more information.
Mhm.
Did he?
Hectic.
Not that I can remember.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Erin Taco. There's no name change. Erin Taco.
Terminating the recording at 6 minutes and 52 seconds.
You gotta see who this Scoop character is.
Yeah.
Did you ever, or was Tori's car ever located?
It was.
Do you know where it was located?
I do.
Typical woman wants a supersize. Can't take a medium or a small. Always got to go be greedy enough for that.
Mhm.
Bloody women.
Where?
It's located at the Hidden Acres Nature Preserve. It's a park inside DeKalb County.
What condition was it in?
It was completely burned to the frame.
How was it identified as Tori's car?
The park rangers located I believe they located the license plate to the right that we later collected, but we brought it back to our headquarters and I located a VIN on the firewall that we used to find the registration.
And was it registered to a person?
It was registered to the victim's grandmother, yes.
What was her name? Or what is
Tanya.
her name?
Tanya Lang.
Where did the investigation go from your perspective from this point?
I asked the arson investigator to assist me in collecting some of the debris within the car to see if we could locate an accelerant. And the Gwinnett arson investigator, Stripling, assisted me with that, and we had that sent off for testing. Obviously, I spoke to the park ranger. Went back out to that scene the next day to look at it myself. Also began drafting geofences and phone tower dumps to try to get location from where the car was found and where the victim was located.
Where you went to the scene of the car being burned, was the area around where the car was found burned?
It was, according to the park ranger, they hadn't been back there. They do a rotation, so they hadn't been there, I believe, since the 29th. And they said it had burned completely to the ground, so no one had ever tried to extinguish it. It basically burned out on its own.
Do you know
We
if
just
any
know it, Sean.
forensic evidence
We
was
just
able
know
to be
it.
recovered from the car that related to who, what, where, or why
It was not.
you taken or had taken? Was all that turned over to Detective Carter?
It was.
At the time that when did you turn it over?
That was probably at the end of August, 2021.
End of August 2021. Had you received complete information back from the geofences or search warrants that you attempted to obtain?
I received, I believe, back one of the phases of the first geofence, which in those geofences, the first phase doesn't really provide anything. You have to keep narrowing it down. So that was sent back, and I also applied for the search warrants myself while being on uniform patrol to continue those phases.
Okay.
Is
But
Bunny
did you turn
Sean?
all of that over to Detective Carter?
I did.
Yeah.
Did you call Bunny Sean? Sean
Yeah.
Bunny.
That's all the questions I have at this time. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I got you now. Bunny, thanks for contribution, Bunny. You're funny. Funny Bunny.
Yes, sir.
Dylan loves you.
I know, I just think it's funny as hell. He's got a good sense of humor. Dry. I like that.
He does.
Gotta try everything once.
Good morning.
Make sure we can walk the next day, though, enough for that.
Let me
Jesus.
start here with
Don't
this
stretch
question.
too much.
To the best of your
Bloody
recollection,
hell.
when was Tori Lang actually identified?
On the 29th of July.
29th of July. And was it also on the 29th of July that you heard for the first time from Tori's mother that Tori might be suicidal?
It was.
Okay. And Tori's mother, I believe you said, gave you two names, Marquesa Brown and Austin Ford, as people that she thought that you might want to speak to. Is that
Just kidding,
right?
Bunny.
Correct.
And then you spoke to Marquesa Brown before you spoke to
Ooh.
Austin Ford. Is that right?
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. And Marquesa Brown also told you
Was
that she
grown.
thought Tori might be
Never heard of that
suicidal.
before.
Is that right?
Your Honor, hearsay. Also, the characterization be suicidal is argumentative. The only testimony regarding suicide was that Sergeant Smith had heard from Lisa Lund that she had thoughts in the past.
Oh, right. Okay. Hang on.
Questions.
What an absolute. I get it. I get it, right? I didn't get why
Oh.
Bunny. I didn't get it. I was like, why do you call him Bunny and Twisted? I was like, maybe he's kinky. I don't know. Maybe he wants like one of those Duracell bunnies. He's I had no idea. I was
Got
like,
it.
why they call him Twisted Bunny? Now I get it. So Sean, I got it. But I didn't get it
I love
for a
it.
little bit. Again, that is funny as well.
Is calling for hearsay, and I object to the characterization as being argumentative.
Response.
I don't know the difference, Judge, between thinking about
Yeah, I know,
suicide
Paige.
and being suicidal. To me, those are the same things. Half a dozen, 6. That's the same thing. As to hearsay, I can withdraw it.
All right, no need for me to rule. The question is being withdrawn.
Did you hear from anyone else other than Tori's mother that there may have been suicidal ideations at some prior point in time?
Objection called for hearsay.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Do you want to respond?
No.
It just takes some food,
My
doesn't it? It's like,
client-
I'm
why
sorry. So are
Twisted?
you
Why
withdrawing
Bunny?
or rephrasing?
Withdrawn. My client, Austin
You know,
Ford,
be
told
death
you
to
that
you.
Tory Lane might be
That's how I was
suicidal.
like.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, did he use that particular phrasing, suicidal, or did he say she had suicide thoughts in the past?
He said she was suicidal.
Right. He told you when you had the conversation that we just listened to that Tori, at the time she spoke to him, which was at about the time of her death, that she was suicidal. Is that right?
Correct.
That's the words he used, suicidal, right?
Yes, sir.
He had Tori Lang's mother told you that she had conferred with Austin Ford?
Yeah, she said she had spoken to her friends.
Yes. Did she say, hey, I spoke to Austin Ford and Austin Ford thought Tori was suicidal. That's why I'm telling you she's suicidal. Did she tell you that?
I don't believe so, no.
No. And you ended up procuring correspondence from Tori to God at about the time that you spoke to Tori Lang's mother. Is that right?
Correct.
Why would you collect? Did you also collect a diary?
I believe just those letters, yes.
Just those letters. Why would you collect letters from the decedent to God? Why would you do that?
It was important to me in my investigation to see where her mindset had been at that point or even prior to this incident.
All right, so let's go through these letters. You had 3. Were these all the letters that you located?
Yes.
Okay. Did you talk to family members after you reviewed these letters?
I did. They were aware of the content of the letters.
Okay. So I want to talk about, I'm going to handle the letters first. State's Exhibit 65, I think State's Exhibit 65 is the collection of all 3 letters. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me deal with the first one. The first one is, I say first because it's dated April 30th, 2021. Is that right?
I hope this is last week because I'm hungry. I want lunch after this.
I think it would be, right? Because, I mean, usually the
Yeah.
detective wraps it all up for us, but,
Yeah,
you know,
we'll see.
we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
I know.
Correct.
Okay, now, and I say first because that seems to be chronologically the first one that would have been written if the date on it is correct, right?
Yes.
Got it. April 30th, 2021. Tori talks about halfway down the letter being
True story.
put out of
True story.
someone's home. Can you tell who that is? I can't read that exactly.
I thought it may have said aunt, but I'm not 100% sure. It's hard
That's
to
fine.
tell.
Either way, it indicates that she wrote to God that friends thought that she might be homeless. That word is clear in there, right?
Correct.
She might be homeless. April 30th, 2021, she's put out of somewhere, and friends think that she might be homeless. Did you speak to Tori's mother about that, whether Tori had been put out of her home or put out of her grandma's home?
I don't believe so, no.
Why not?
Were you aware when you were reviewing
Yeah.
the letters and talking to Tori's people, her mother, father, grandmother, that Tori had a home with her mother relatively close to a home with her paternal grandmother?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so there were 2 homes that were relatively close to one another, about 10 minutes apart. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And when you spoke to Tori's family, did they indicate that Tori could stay at either home?
I don't recall.
Did they indicate that Tori had lived with either sets of family?
I don't recall.
Okay, but in that letter on April 30th, 2021, Tori talks about friends thinking she might be homeless. That's what it says. Is that right?
Yes.
May 1st, which I interpret to be the next day, May 1st of 2021, that letter to God is really just about money. Is that correct?
Correct. I believe it's about her trying to get back on her feet.
Love you, Lord. Please send me money. I have to pay my insurance. Please send me money. That's what that letter's about, right?
Correct.
Please send me ideas so I can get money. Is that right?
Correct.
May 1st, 2021. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that is the same year that you found her, because you found the body July 28th, 2021. Is that right?
Correct.
So that letter, God, I need money, please.
Hi,
Can you send
Jamie.
me money, is about 90
Hi, Josie.
days before Tori's death. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna call it the last because I think it's the last chronologically. The letter's dated June 1st, 2021. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that letter, again, to God, I'm feeling stuck spiritually, financially, emotionally, I'm feeling stuck. That's the surmise of the June 1st, 2021 letter. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's 60 days before she's found in Yellow River Park. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
A lot of love for Josie, isn't it? That's nice.
And those were the only 3 letters that you took from the home. Is that right?
Correct.
Were those the only 3 letters
Was
that you
the
found there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and I say found. Did the family hand you those letters? Did the family sort of open the door and you went in the room and you did your own search? How did that? Describe that to me. How that happened?
The family told me they were located upstairs in her room on I believe it was a dresser, and they had gone up there with us, but they didn't hand them to me. They just told me where to locate them.
call you?
So the family
I
knew
call you
that they were
sister.
letters.
Correct.
Okay, did the family indicate if there had been any other letters than the letters that they were suggesting that you take with you?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so no one in the family told you that there may have been more letters.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did anyone in the family indicate to you how often Tori would write to God?
No.
Come on.
Did you check on Tori's social media accounts, if she had any social media accounts?
I did.
All right. Did she have an Instagram or Snapchat or both?
I believe she had both, yes.
Do you recall if you were able to look at her Snapchat account to sort of get a sense of what her mind was?
I recall looking at the social media. I don't recall specifics. Not necessarily the Snapchat because it wouldn't have held anything, but possibly the Instagram. But nothing that stood out to me.
The jury heard your telephone conversation with Austin Ford. Is that right?
Yes,
Did you ever have a face-to-face conversation with Austin Ford?
I did.
Did that face-to-face conversation happen after the audio conversation that the jury just heard?
Yes.
Do you recall the date of the face-to-face conversation that you had with Austin Ford?
Yes, it was on August 2nd.
Of what year, sir?
Sorry, just let me confirm.
2021.
Confirm
I
it
don't
for
know.
him.
Yeah. Might have to.
Well, you should know this guy.
Yeah.
Yes, so August 2nd of 2021.
August
Hold it.
2nd, 2021, about 3 days
Get
after
me in there.
Tori was found. Is
Let
that
me
right?
with
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right.
Tap
You're
him in.
standing face-to-face with
Yeah.
Austin,
five.
but he's not telling you that he was there during the shooting. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever get a chance to speak to Scoop?
Did not.
Okay, you know that his government name is Jerron Thompson. Is that right?
Correct.
And it was your understanding that was Tori's boyfriend. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And did he just flat out refuse to talk to you?
He did.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
And do you recall
I
Didn't
mean,
know
what it
that.
was that
I guess not, but
Jaron
yeah.
Thompson
little
just said,
bit,
listen, I'm just not talking to you.
It would have been several days after the August 2nd. I believe the following week, I had a conversation with the defendant on the phone again, asking if he'd heard anything or if he could. I'd asked him to reach out to Scoop on my behalf, and he said that he did talk to him, and that he stated that he had nothing to say to me and was not going to be speaking to me.
At some point in time, you speak to Dr. Terry, who's doing the autopsy on Tori Lang. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. And did you tell Dr. Terry that there were family and friends that might have thought Tori might have been suicidal?
I did.
Did you ever see her report in regards to the
Compliment.
autopsy of
Compliment.
Tori Lang?
I've seen parts of it, yes.
She included the conversation she had with you, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that was part of her thought process in trying to reach a determination on the matter of death. That was your understanding, is that right?
Correct.
Let's talk about this geofence. You requested a geofence for two
Without a
separate
lawyer.
areas, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, one was for the portion of Yellow River Park where Tori Lang's body was found, is that right?
Correct.
And the other was for where the vehicle was burned?
Correct. And the Hidden Acres Nature Preserve.
Okay. And
5 miles away, I think it was.
Know it. I always analogize it to like an invisible dog fence. You make a request for an area which has 4 sides, like 4 points. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it only works with Google though.
Correct.
So when they say geofence, it really means Google geofence. Is that right?
Correct.
So if you're on some other platform, Bing or something, it's not going to work. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. If I'm on Google though, and I'm in this building, will it show me as being here in the building?
It will.
Mhm.
No further questions. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Sergeant Smith.
Be direct.
Sergeant
Keep it
Smith,
short now.
when you talked to Teresa Lang, was she upset?
Yes.
I don't want to use the term hysterical, but I mean, did you just tell her that her only daughter was found dead in Yellow River Park?
I did.
And would you describe what she was doing as reaching for why that had happened?
Yes, she wanted answers and wanted to know where we were headed with the investigation.
After the phone call, the recorded phone call with Austin, when you saw him in person on August 2nd, did you ask him if he knew anything new or had any new information for you?
I did.
Did he give you any?
He did not.
Did you speak to him again?
I'd spoken to him a few times over the phone, basically asking him the same question and then asking him to reach out to Scoop.
Did you speak with Mary Boone Perkins?
I did.
Did you ask her about her ring camera?
I did.
Did you view the video that came from her ring camera?
I did.
Did you talk to Austin Ford about it?
I did.
What did he have to say about the ring camera video?
He stated that she had came over to his house and she was upset, talking about being suicidal, asking him to do it. They went down to the car, spoke there for about 10 minutes, and then he came back, which was confirmed on the ring camera. He asked, I said, well, you left again later. What was that to? And he said that he went to go purchase marijuana. I said, well, why didn't you tell me that to begin with? And he said, because you're the police.
Well, and so the times are correct. It shows, does the ring camera show Tori arriving?
You can't see her, right? But you see her walking up to his door, yes.
Does it very shortly after show the defendant and Tori leaving together?
It does.
Now, does the video next show the defendant arriving sometime after Tori and Austin had left together?
The first video is of her arriving and then walking away. The next video is of him coming back about 10 minutes later. I think there's a third video where he leaves again later that night and then returns maybe an hour more after that.
Okay.
Without Tori.
And that'll be reflected on the timestamps in the
Correct.
videos. Did he tell you where he'd gone?
He had said he went to purchase marijuana.
That's all the questions I have.
We recross.
Very briefly, Judge. The video, the ring camera video that you observed, that showed Tori Lang wearing the same clothes as she was located in at Yellow River Park, did it not?
It did.
Okay, and in her hysteria, as the prosecutor didn't want to phrase it, Teresa Lang reached for suicide, not who killed my baby when you spoke to her. Isn't that right?
I believe we discussed both, but suicide was the first thing we talked about.
Thank you very much. No further questions, Judge.
Any further direct?
No, you're right.
All right, Sergeant Smith, take your personal belongings. You can be excused. Watch your step coming down.
Lunch.
All right, is this a good time for the lunch recess?
Very good.
Yes.
All right.
Dylan's
Witness
hungry.
Be excused.
I got steak, you see.
Steak?
So
All
I
right,
need to make
members
my
of the
steak.
jury, we
sirloin
are
steak.
going to take a pause for our
Thank you, jury.
as I have done.
Oh, thank you. We don't do listen to you now. Right. No, that's not the one I wanted. That's not the one that I want. Is it that one? No, is it that one? There we go. We'll go with that one. So, what do you think? I mean, that I thought that was a nothing burger.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it was kind of like last time too. It was just what, I mean, he even said that the mom wasn't ruling out suicide or self-deletion, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. I've said it plenty of times now,
I
so
know.
I
I'm
think
just
it's
trying
forgiven.
to.
No, I've already been demonetized. It's fine for this stream because of those words. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not sure where they're taking this, so
I know.
I I just don't see how he could be anything but not guilty
Hmm.
on this one. Be found like I'm not saying he's innocent at all in all of this. I'm saying that what the charges are, I can't.
Yeah, the
No,
medical examiner, well, the mom the second time around did it in for me because after she was just like fighting so hard about the stuff she testified to before that she didn't, she wasn't sure. And now all of a sudden she's very sure.
that annoyed me.
Yeah.
And I think that annoyed my chat, as in when we were watching it live, that really annoyed us. And I hate saying that because that's the victim's mother,
I know.
and you want to show compassion, you want to, but it really annoyed me. But you're right, and the medical examiner just hammered that,
That
boom.
too. She hammered it
Unless
home.
it goes something else, yeah. Unless it goes something else, I don't know. But so you're right, Paige. Dylan, you might have been demonetized as soon as I entered the chat, but I was rather tainted. No, you're fine. I was demonetized. I get demonetized all the time. So, Sean, I'm really trying hard not to swear, and I think I'm doing well. But I get demonetized all the time. I'm out of the algorithm and everything now. So, if you search for me, like just generally search for this trial, I'll be at the bottom of the list. So, I'm not in the algorithm at all. So I'm trying to behave myself. So
Yeah.
don't worry, it's not you, it's me. As soon as, yes, I'm still holding out on the car and gun. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I can get that. I can get by that because he did say he did those things. But and yeah, he made a lot of, but also he was 18 years old. And just so, I mean, most of
Panic.
the people in here know me, but I just say it how I interpret it, like, everything. So I have my own opinion, but like, I get that the mom doesn't want to believe that her daughter would do something like that. And she'd want to believe that someone did this to her and she did not do this to herself, because you don't want to realize that you may have missed something as a mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
You
not,
blame yourself.
but don't take away a kid's life because of all this. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
So
I agree. Um, so and I think he's been punished for that anyway as well now. So yeah. So I wonder that too, Iris. Yes. Right, can't wait for Solomon interview. Neither can I, Josie. Actually, that's when I was looking down my phone. That's me and Solomon were just texting back and forward now. We have just arranged it, as in we're going back and forward because I want to try something new. So I'm not going to spoil it and say what we're doing. But I think you guys are going to be a little bit frustrated, but also a little bit fired up as well once you see what we're doing. So me and Sol got a bit of homework to do over the weekend. Um, and it's likely to be probably a 3 hour stream. We've capped it at 3 hours, but it could go on more than 3 hours, but we capped it at 3 hours. So you'll see what we're doing when we're doing it. But I'm excited. And I think he's very excited now to know what we're actually doing. I wanted to do it slightly different, but we've said we'll do it a certain way, and he's very excited. He's pumped up, so I'm pumped up now. So we're on the gun. No prints on the gun. I don't believe.
yeah, he tossed it in the water and stuff. So I mean, there was nothing. They didn't find anything.
You become the bottom. Just remember, you'll always have time to flip things and get back on top. Absolutely, Sean. Absolutely, we love it. I didn't mind had that all twisted, buddy. Ouch. Yep, Jamie nailed it. Josie, yes. Thanks, Jamie. Why did you go and make it so complicated? Got me frustrated. I know. I know. Oh, interesting. Yes. Join for Dylan's interview with Solomon. Yes, please join us in the 18th. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to put a bit of prep into it. It's going to be a little bit different. We're covering one aspect of the trial rather than a lots of different aspects of it. Let's free Zach, absolutely. Avril Lavigne. Ooh, he was there when she did it and freaked out. Yeah, no, I think that's what he said. Has he not said that he was there?
He changed the story a lot, but he ultimately said he was there. He tried to stop her, and
He
it happened.
panicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Panicked
panicked,
and he
grabbed the
grabbed the
gun.
gun and he took the car. I mean, he was 18 years old. She was 18 years old. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it was his friend. They were talking, and maybe he was trying to just protect her. I don't know. I mean, it could be a number of things. Also, he could have been just scared out of his mind.
Yeah. Irish there. Yeah, fine. I totally agree with everyone. Okay, so we got this afternoon session. Solomon interview. Thank you, Sarah P. Where's Sarah? Sarah's also done it here somewhere. Right, guys, I've got another stream. I've got to close this stream down now. JB's joining me back this afternoon. So either go straight there now or, click the link afterwards. I'll actually pin this now then. So this up there. Please come back for it. Be great to see you all again. I just
Yeah.
need to pin it now. Oh, damn it. Damn it. I need to pin it, but now I've just clicked it. I don't know what I'm doing now. Come join us there. Replace pins. Also, please subscribe to obviously Baker, who's very generously joined us this morning. And yeah, we'll have another chat. We'll come back about 1:00. 521, 1:00 this afternoon, Jamie's time. Thank you again, Sarah, for that. Wendy, absolutely. It's free Zachariah Anderson. So yeah, everyone, thank you, Jamie, for joining. Thank you, Baker, for joining. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for contributing. Love you all. Love you all long time. And I shall see you 1:00 Eastern, 12:00 Central Time, 6:00 my time, 10:00 Pacific Time. Fucking rock and roll. Thanks for having me. No, thank you to you, Baker. And if you want to jump on this afternoon, Baker, let me know and I'll send you a link. Right, same here. I got steak, guys. Got steak, so I'm gonna cook my steak now. Catch you later, Sarah P. There we are. That's Baker's channel. See you in the next stream. Oh, and Erin's Taco will be joining me in the next stream. I'll move it for my groin again. Right. Thank you, guys. End broadcast. I have tried to cover all the time zones.